Everyone, welcome aboard. Just trying to finishing little touches here, and here we are. I'll close the door so that there's not too much going on sound-wise. And hello there, everybody. I will be doing this. Hope everybody's fine. Nice to see you guys. This is Radio Marti on 930. Just put this here. And let's just try to position myself and not break anything. Hello, everyone. And I will move like this, okay? Just make sure that nothing is broken or breaking. Sorry I'm a little late. I had a hectic day today. It's one of those days where you're like, whoa, too many things happening at the same time. And so, official SWL channel, this is where we are. And let me just join in. I haven't checked the chat yet. Hello, everybody. And hope everything's all right. Just checking out here. Is that working? Yeah, it is. Okay. Let me just do finishing little touches here. Open the chat on this window. See if I can get this correctly here. Something. Okay, here we go. 29. Hello, everybody. And yeah, the shelf is flexing in the middle here. Absolutely. It's been like that for a long time. Actually, I had heavy stuff on this for a while. So the bending isn't from what is right now, but what mostly I had in the past on this desk. So hey everybody, welcome aboard. Sorry if I don't look top shape. I'm not top shape. I was damn sick this week. Really, really incredible. I caught some weird bug, and it's a very weird thing. Started with a bump here, really big bump, and like in 24 hours I had a bump. And probably you guys can see, but I'm all scarred here. It all like went all down next to the eye up to here, and I had like a pain in the jaw. And I started having like this crazy fever of 39.5 Celsius, which is, I don't know, 100 and something. And I really, really felt crappy, the crappiest that you can feel, I think I felt this week. And so today the fever's gone. I'm still scarred, but it doesn't hurt. This week it would hurt like crazy. I am still a little tired though. I went to the grocery store. You can see that I'm still tired today. But I at least feel better because it was, wow. I was so sick on Wednesday that I thought, man, there's not going to be any live shows this week for sure. I can't imagine myself, being, having good enough health for Friday. I even told Sheldon that I would not be at the International Radio Report on Sunday because I felt so crappy, and almost wish I didn't because I don't feel a little better. But we're gonna take it easy, and so I'm having my beer. I thought, no beer, we're gonna take it easy. But then I said, nah, let's have a beer. I haven't had a beer since Monday, so why not? So anyways, I felt totally crappy. And I probably look a little tired still, but at least things are better. Hey there, everyone. PLF Radio in France, Neil Toombs, hello there. Nicolas Hughes, nice to have you on board from the UK. Keegan in Northwest Arkansas, nice to have you here. PA1WX, from the Netherlands. Hello there. Bobby Burgess. Hello there. WA5107 SWL. Gordon Treadwell, VE6GPT. Good afternoon. Nice to have you here. Neil Toombs is M0CJM in Basingstoke in Hampshire. Yeah, so I am better, Bobby. Absolutely. That was crazy. Totally crazy. Dan Walsh, hey there. Nice to have you on board. Bonjour. MEC, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, well, I had it last week also. It's when you use the back camera instead of the selfie camera. That's when the things are okay. You got to use the main camera and not a selfie camera when you do it live. Dada Duden, nice to have you here. Hey Jerry, how are you enjoying that Icom ICR30? I'm jealous. Nicola Yu says, heard and over the horizon the other day. I've been chasing up a few number stations on preom.org. Cool. Cool. Nice to have you here. Donald Osmer. I don't know why I got a problem with that. Osmer. Donald Osmer. Nice to have you here. W8SWL. Aboard the Viking Icon. Presently cruising from Moscow to Uglitch, Russia. Wow, that looks cool. That looks really cool. I don't know, Jerry. I have no idea. And the crazy thing about it is I felt bad. I took an appointment with my doctor. And, you know, sometimes when things aren't your way, the appointment, the secretary of my doctor called in the morning, Thursday morning, saying, oh, well, sorry, but the doctor's not in today. So I'm like, oh, okay, so I can't see the doctor. So I have two options. Try to find somewhere where I can actually meet a doctor without having an appointment, which is dreadfully difficult, especially when you're already in like midday. Or go to the hospital, to the emergency room, and because it's not, you know, I'm not gonna die, wait there for like 16 hours before a doctor sees me, which is not super interesting. So what I did, I have a friend of mine that we went to school together when I was young, and she is in different types of medicine stuff, and she also is a registered nurse, so she knows her stuff. She's not a doctor, but she's done so many studies and everything. She's kind of knows her thing. So I kind of bugged her, said, hey, you know, because anyway, she had asked me a few questions because when she saw my post on Facebook, she wanted to know a little more. And so what happened is I said, hey, can I bug you for a second? I got a picture I'm going to send you. I'm going to take a picture of my face, and I'm going to send you that. And I want to have your opinion on what you think it might be. In case, maybe you'll know, maybe not. So she looked at the picture. She said like, whoa, okay. And then she told me it was probably following a nerve in my face. And she said, okay, does it hurt a lot? She asked me like tons of questions. She had a few ideas. One of them was, I don't know if in English the name zona is the same thing, but you know, when you have the chicken pox when you're young, well, when you get older, some people have like a reactivation of that virus and can have that type of kind of sequel. So she said, did you get chicken pox when you were young? I said, yeah, I did. I said, okay, that could be it. Could be like a reactivation, and now your body's like fighting it. She also mentioned maybe you got, you know, stung by some kind of, you know, by a spider or something, which, you know, could be possible. I leave the door in the back open all the time, so I see in the summertime an increased amount of bugs in the house because of the Paul the cat, that I want to make sure that he can come in and go out regularly. So maybe, but you know, overall, I got no idea, and I didn't want to spend 16 hours at the hospital just to know. You know, I waited out. So on Wednesday, I felt the crappiest, was the crappiest of the week. Thursday, yesterday, started feeling better. Around noon yesterday, felt better. The fever dropped, and I felt good enough to get up and do things. On Wednesday, I was just like I slept all Wednesday. I was in bed and I slept all of the day. I slept like 24 hours, I think. And this morning, woke up, no fever, and still a little tired though. I went to the grocery store, still a little tired, but it's seems to be better now. So, or shingles, yeah, maybe shingles. Shingles. I'm trying to get my diseases right. Shingles, maybe it's shingles. Absolutely, I think you're right. D-Raf, hey there, nice to have you on board. Hans Hubertus, nice to have you here. Angie Cowley, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Nikolaius says, got the coolest drink here. It's a glass of milk with a straw with tiny chocolate pieces that turn it into chocolate milk. Oh, that sounds good. Eric Cottrell, hey there. Yeah, I'm much better than I was Wednesday. Wednesday I was like, forget it. Wednesday was totally forget it. If I would have felt today what I was feeling Wednesday, there would be no show at all. Rock Ristorante, nice to have you here. So yeah, no problem, Rock Ristorante. So my friend kind of told me, well, if you didn't see the doctor, I'd prefer it if you'd go to the emergency room and get it checked out, because it is kind of weird. And finally, well, it seems to be going away, so let's cross our fingers everything's all right. She just told me to check out anywhere on my skin that there's nothing else like this that appears somewhere else, because she thinks it might be some kind of virus, and maybe it's a one-time thing and I'm just gonna clear it myself and it's gonna be okay. She was also scared because she said what scared me a lot, it was around your eye. Sometimes infections that are close to the eye can also affect the eyes, and that was something that she was kind of scared of, but in my case it was okay. What else do we have? Gordon Treadwell says, I haven't heard the Montreal station since that one day. VE2 speed. Yeah, maybe it was the only... Were they there on... maybe they were there only for the weekend, for the Formula One weekend, probably. Steve in Australia, nice to have you on board. Yes, from the future. You guys are Saturday morning, absolutely. Where's DX? The cat is in the living room, sleeping right now. So that's where DX is. Internet is slow in Riverlock. Oh boy, slow. Did you go to Perry Island? Could have got bit by spider or mosquito. No, I didn't go. I didn't go yet to Perry Island because I was planning maybe this week, and I was feeling too bad. So anyways, it's all crusted now. So it's like it's as if somebody, if I look like a boxer, somebody like just knocked me out, and it's healing now. So yeah, it's shingles. Probably shingles. Probably shingles. So anyways, we don't know. And I might never know, actually. Daxfar74, nice to have you here. David Williamson from South Africa. Oh, it was painful, I can tell you that. I couldn't sleep on that side of the face because it was just too painful. Jack N9IIF, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Vianney Arsenault, bonjour, bienvenue. Nice to have you here. No, I'm not allergic to anything that I eat. I have absolutely no allergies whatsoever to food. if I would, it would be a first, because I'm really not allergic to anything. The only things I'm allergic to are, well, the only thing actually I'm allergic to is penicillin. That makes me have like a big rash everywhere. So they got to give me something else when I am sick. So and yeah, well, I got Benadryl because if I'm slightly allergic to Polycat, and if sometimes it gets too much, I will take two Benadryls one day to kind of, have it go away. And usually I'm okay for several days or weeks after that. So, but I do have some all the time just in case I get a little cat allergy here. Callum too, nice to have you here. Pretty cool. Uh, what else do we have? What else do we have? Dave Todd, nice to have you here. Blanchard, nice to have you here. M0ISA. Rob Webster, nice to have you on board from the UK. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Mark Ristorante says very good signals on 31 and 41 meters today. So we'll probably do mostly some tuning the bands today. I'm not sure I'm going to do a 4-hour show because I'm a little tired, but we will kind of tune the bands a little bit and check out what we can receive. Radio New Zealand is booming in every evening this week. It's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, really? The Sony ICF 2001D. This is cool. I would love to have one of those. That's a nice radio. Sony ICF 2001D is the same as, by the way, the ICF 2010. The 2001D is the Europe one. You know what, Jerry? Jerry says it could be DX, the cat that brought it in. It did come to mind. Because he spends a lot of time outside. I did have a moment where I thought maybe maybe he had some kind of bug in his fur. And when he came in, he always comes to sleep in the bed. So he came in, and maybe there was a bug in his fur and I didn't see it, and the bug, bit me or something while I was sleeping. You don't know. It did kind of ring a bell. I did think, well, he goes outside all the time. It's not impossible. Nothing's impossible. Utelsat 36A, nice to have you on board. Mickey Delmage, hello there. Nice to have you on board. And yeah, that's the worst part of this week. Apart from feeling crappy Wednesday, the worst part of this week is I couldn't go to see Amanda Don Christie's Spectres of Shortwave documentary that was airing on Wednesday evening. I had bought my ticket in advance so that I could have my place there for sure. I got a few people that went there that actually text me in the day. It's like, hey, are you going to Spectres of Shortwave airing tonight? Yeah, no. I am so sick that I'm staying home. I could not even see myself going there. So I was really sad for that part, missing on the documentary. I really, really wanted to be there for the documentary and everything. But unfortunately, just crazy. So I didn't see the documentary. It's really, really, really bad. Well, if it had been a tick, Jerry, I would have. There's like a pattern for a tick. I don't think it's a tick. I don't know. But here the ticks are. We're starting. Here in Montreal, ticks. I gotta be careful now when I go to Perry Island. PLF Radio says Radio Cairo 98.95 is audible. Let's check it out if I can hear it. If anybody can tune in, 98.95. Let's check that out. Signal's too weak. Just a little too weak because I would, there's something there definitely, but it's too weak over here. G. Britton, nice to have you here. Barely audible in Toronto, 98.95. Yeah, same here. I see the line in the display, but it's too weak to really be audible. If my noise level would be lower, I probably could hear something. So yeah, you know, here ticks. What was crazy is we didn't hear about ticks in Montreal until about 5 or 6 years ago. Here in Montreal, ticks were not present at all. And about 5 or 6 years ago, they started telling us, you know, you got to be careful. Ticks from the northeast are slowly creeping up towards us because of, you know, warmer weather. And they started talking about about ticks and Lyme disease and everything. And apparently now it's like every year there's I think the statistics said like last year about 100 people showed up with tick bites, and like 20 or 30 person also showed up with Lyme disease symptoms. And I mean, we were, you know, when I was young, that did not exist at all. So in the past 10 years, these things have moved up, and they're now on the island. And I actually had one because now if I go to Perry Island or I go to these places, I'm always very careful. I always check myself to make sure I got no ticks that are on me. But a couple of years ago, 2 years, or maybe 2 years ago, I was at a park next to the water, and I was just taking a walk, and I had a white T-shirt, and I saw something. I was looking, you know, at the road, and I saw something like move and fall down here on the side of my vision, and when I looked, there was actually a tick on my white T-shirt. Because I had a white T-shirt, I could see it really well. And I looked and I said, wow, this is a tick. So I just like brushed it off to have it go away. But I thought, wow, okay, there are ticks now. You got to be careful. And that's how they actually bite you. Very often they're in the trees and they just like let themselves like, you know, fall down on you. And then they'll, of course, do whatever they want to do, suck your blood. Thunderbird, hey there, nice to have you here. Hey B, nice to have you on board. Yeah, I am tired. I am tired. I can tell you that. It's something. But you know, this is like a million times browser. What? A million times browser. I'm reading Bobby Burgess at the same time. This is a million times better than what I felt on Wednesday. So. You know, I thought, okay, we're gonna have a show. One little exception to this week. Normally we have a show on Saturday this week. I will not do the show tomorrow. I'll take it easy, and I guess you guys probably understand why. So tomorrow no shows on the Saturday show. I'm gonna take this Saturday off tomorrow to continue healing and get better. No 6, hey there, nice to have you on board. Better no 6 than no sex. Bobby Burgess says, this is weird. My Chrome browser and my Chromecast is playing your feed at the same time. Not supposed to be like that. Oh, this is weird. Yeah, usually it sends the feed to the Chromecast. It's kind of weird. Oh, man. What else do we have? Peter Freitas says 98.95 on University of 20. Web SDR, big signal, but with distortion. The shortwave frequency channel. What program do you have on your computer? This is HD SDR, and it's running an AFEDRI, AFEDRI, software-defined receiver. And it's kind of my software of choice. I like the way it looks. I like the way, you know, it's kind of easy to use. I've used SDR Sharp. I've used SDR console, and I kind of always come back to HD SDR. It's like, for me, it's like the one I like. Even Tinny, nice to have you on board. from Texas. So let's check out a little bit what's happening on the shortwave bands if you guys want. Let's tune around a little bit. Zach McCory, nice to have you on board. What is a good budget radio to start getting into shortwave? If you don't want to spend a lot of money, I would probably the radio of choice that I always give out is the Texan PL 380 or Texan PL 310 ET. These two radios are around 40 bucks and they're all available. What's nice about them is that they're available through regular outlets like Amazon. So they're easy to purchase. And for 40 bucks, you get an amazing little radio, I can tell you that. If you want to have single sideband, then maybe move on to a Degen DE1103 or a Texan PL 680 or 660. A little more expensive, but they'll have single sidebands. So it depends on how much money you want to spend, honestly. You know, there are the cheap ones like the TFDO V115, but I hesitate, you know, I never put them. Somebody asked me the other day, you never, you know, put the TFDO V115 in your list of cheap radios to buy when you talk about cheap, when somebody asks for it, you know, what radio, inexpensive radio would you recommend? And I said, well, I don't recommend it because it has, even though it's surprising, from reading, it seems there's a lot of quality control problems, first of all. And from reading, I also noticed that, and in my personal use, it has flaws, and you might not be happy with a TVO V115, depending on your receive location. Where the Texan PL 380 and the Texan PL 310 ET, although double in price, are real sure values. You are not going wrong with one of these two models. They're good and that's it. And you're not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna give you a radio that might not work well. You know, the TFDO V115 here, I can't use it unless I'm next to, I got this weird spot next to the microwave oven where I can put it and I can actually use it there, but the rest of the house, all FM stations, powerful FM stations from Montreal actually overloaded all the time. I am unable to listen to anything on the TFDO V115 here, except when I put it at a specific spot next to the microwave in my kitchen. Don't ask me why, I don't know. But next to it, maybe the metal casing, I don't know. Something blocks the FM signals. And when that happens, yeah, okay, reception is actually not that bad, surprising. But also the TVO V115 has a lot of background noise, and that you don't have on the Texan receivers, honestly. Sorry. Bailey, let me just go here. Okay, Bailey Hanlon says, how can I get better reception of Voice of Korea on a Texan PL 310 ET? Here's the thing. The reception, first of all, you're asking for reception of a station that is not super easy to receive in some areas. Where are you located, Bailey, just out of curiosity? Of course, having a outdoor piece of wire or anything, an outdoor antenna will greatly improve your chances. But like, for example, here in Montreal, I haven't heard the Voice of Korea in a long, long time. And it's not because of lack of trying, and it's not because of lack of good equipment. It is simply a very difficult task on the East Coast lately to receive Voice of Korea. So, you know, it's kind of 3 beers, you will feel much better. Yeah, Steve. Man. Yeah. Hope so. I'll forget that I'm even sick. The SDR play is a different kind, you know. The SDR play, you gotta have a little bit of technical and computer knowledge to have these working. That's a kind of a different thing. Different thing. Shortwave frequency. Can I transmit on my Baofeng UV5R without a license in Sweden? No. These are amateur radio gear, so you need a license in every country around the world with one of those. You have to get your amateur radio license. It's an obligation to transmit with a Baofeng everywhere. Nikki Dalmash says, I have lost the map options on my Perseus recently. Even though I am using the latest version of Google Chrome, this message shows up. Huh. You are using a browser that is not supported by the Google Maps JavaScript API. Consider changing your browser. And you have the latest Google Chrome browser. This is so weird. This is so bizarre. It's as if something's kind of not right with the browser itself. I'm out of my, I don't know exactly right now. David Arden, nice to have you here. KJ4CMY from Atlanta, where it is 36 Celsius. That's too hot for me. In London, England, I guess, London in the UK. In non-London in Ontario, Canada. If you're in the UK, there are a few frequencies that are actually not too bad. So try regularly. It doesn't mean because one day, and make sure that you try for the right times and frequencies. They have several English language, some of them targeted to Europe. You got to make sure that you have the ones targeted to Europe also. RTG Dion says, thank you for the video on the inexpensive Soft 66 RTLSDR. I would like to get one. Will you have another video on the setup? Randy in California. Yeah, well, check it out. I got another one here. I've got one that's right here, up here, actually. And so I will be, I guess I will make a few more videos with this thing. So we'll check it out. I'll post a few videos, but I already got a few videos on the setup itself, how to set it up to have it working, that are, from what I understand, really clear, because I've got a lot of people saying, you know what, I followed your setup video and it works great. So maybe check it out. It is audible with much distortion. Yeah. You know, one of the things about Voice of Korea is often the signal's very wobbly, so it's, you know, apart from getting a little more, maybe a little more signal with a little outdoor wire or something, Bailey, maybe you're trying. Are you using only the telescopic antenna on the radio? Try with a piece of wire hanging outside a window or something. You might see a big difference. Left Radio's got perfect signal from Radio Vatican, Vatican Radio on 9705. Cool. Okay, Nicola Hughes, can anyone tell me what a de-expedition is actually? I keep forgetting to look it up. Okay, a de-expedition is, so okay, first of all, you got to know the term DX. DX means long distance. It's a term used in amateur radio and shortwave radio. It's a term that is for mentioning long distance communications. So basically what you'll see is that a de-expedition is an expedition. So, you know, some people do expeditions to, you know, Mount Everest or remote Arctic islands or whatever. Well, a de-expedition is an expedition to some area, a remote area of some kind, and it mixes radio with it. So that means that when you do a de-expedition, you go to a remote area, you bring, of course, your radios and your setup, so you can set up, you know, a temporary antenna and all of this, to listen to shortwave, or If you're an amateur radio operator, you set up to operate from a remote island, a remote place. And the idea behind this are several. Um, the first one, in my case, is you go to an area where you're far away from houses and from civilization at some point, um, where the noise level is very, very low compared to where I am now, for example, because I'm surrounded by people, by houses. So it's like um, a very difficult task to listen to weak signals here. But the expedition brings me to an area farther away from, the noise, the local noise sources. So because of the very low noise, I hear tons of things that I don't hear normally. That's one of the reasons. Another one is also the adventure side of it. Some people go to remote places, in exotic places, at the same time as they're doing a radio de-expedition. They're also enjoying beautiful surroundings, beautiful scenery, and just having fun at the same time. Like when I go to Perry Island, it's cool. It's outside, it's sunny. It's like enjoying a beautiful sunny day, and doing radio at the same time, and having low noise so I can hear things I don't hear at home. In an amateur radio sphere will be, of course, to contact stations, and some the expeditions in the amateur radio side also bring another aspect of to the hobby. They will activate countries that usually don't have any amateur radio operators. So in the amateur radio side of it, the number of countries that amateur radio operators have compared to the real number of countries around the world is a different number, because there will be reactivation of certain countries and certain islands in the amateur radio sphere, and they will count as a separate country very often. So people go to these remote islands where there's nobody, and we'll set up, amateur radio stuff, gear over there, and they'll contact for, a weekend, a week, or even a month or two sometimes, stations around the world, and that activates that country for a certain time. And it's, this time or never maybe that you'll have the opportunity or the chance to contact such and such country. So that's pretty much what it is. So what I do personally, and if I feel good this week, I saw that next week we're gonna have some beautiful weather. There might be a de-expedition. My first de-expedition to Perry Island might actually be on Tuesday, this coming Tuesday. So cross our fingers. I might be going there for that on Tuesday. So what I'll do is I'll pack up all the necessary stuff. So what usually I pack up is, of course, radios. I'll pack up a wire, so I'll have like 100 feet of wire with me. I'll pack up extra batteries, because you want to make sure that once you're in the middle of nowhere, you don't like find yourself without batteries suddenly. I will pack up all sorts of little things, water, sometimes fruit juice, a little something to eat, because you're going to spend the day there, so you got to sustain yourself, and basically just to have fun listening to the radio, DXing, and trying to get these elusive stations. I'm crossing my finger of maybe a possibility of getting North Korea. Perry Island is very low noise. Who knows? Maybe I could get lucky and hear North Korea. That would be nice. If I do, I will do a reception report, because I want to have that QSL card that people have been showing. So that's pretty much it. Bill, nice to have you here. Let me go down slowly. K3WDR, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, the greetings from a warm and sunny day in Yonkers, New York. Yep, happy Father's Day to every dad in the chat, and every dad that will be watching after. Max the Windcat, nice to have you here. Pretty cool to have everybody here. What else do we have? Bailey says only telescopic 13760, 245, 645, 9890 in English are receivable. 12015 in Russian, German, and Korean are clear. Yeah, sometimes it happens. It depends on the frequencies used and the time also. Sometimes it is better, absolutely. But you're kind of lucky at the same time. Um, it you know um, you're still lucky to have it. Well, that's a good idea because I mean, when you go to open spaces, find yourself you know, a piece of wire, Bailey. Get yourself some wire or something, and when you go to a park or something, you know, just temporarily hang a piece of wire, throw a piece of wire in the tree, clip it to the antenna, and you might be surprised at how well. St. Joseph 74, nice to have you here. Attempting a QSO on SO50. Oh, passing overhead in a few minutes. Monitor 426795. No, it's 436. It's 436795 for SO50, yeah. Hope you got the right frequency here. It might be just a typo. 436795 is the frequency. I don't know if it's because the transmitter changed, but I think the nominal original frequency was 436,790. Something like that. Anybody in North America, or you're getting 7780. I heard 7780 last night. I heard Voice of the Report of the Week last night. And it was actually coming in well enough on 7780. Right now there's absolutely nothing on 7780 from my reception point. But I heard Voice of the Report of the Week last night, 5850, and 7780 was actually there. Zach McCory says doesn't hear anything on 7780. Rag Ristorante, Voice of Korea's S8 11635 in Stockholm. Cool. Bobby says WRMI getting thunderstorms at their transmitter site. Yeah, they might suffer some problems. Super 20 Dan, nice to have you here. Got an ICOM ICR 70. Awesome compared to my realistics. Oh, it is nice. It's a nice, good old ICOM. That's a good old ICOM, I can tell you that. Yeah, field day, absolutely. Next week, Vianney Arsenault is right, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So next weekend is amateur radio field day. Amateur radio field day is a nice event because it actually, you know, a lot of people, again, always today will you know, mention how, and especially the young generation, a lot of the young generation will say, well, you know, what the hell is that thing, amateur radio? That's old stuff. We don't need that today. We've got cell phones and we've got satellites and we've got whatever. What the hell is amateur radio still alive? It's not worth a thing. And that's the biggest problem with amateur radio, is that it has a big problem in trying to promote the reasons why amateur radio needs to continue to exist. It's difficult also to promote amateur radio for the young generations today. One of the things about amateur radio is that there's a lot of the young generation have this idea that we are in a era of we don't need that thing because whatever we have works. Because they have never, a lot of the young generation have never suffered any catastrophe that actually shows how, in reality, what we use is very fragile. You know, the internet infrastructure is fragile. It can actually easily be broken by all sorts of things. And our way of communicating, you know, our cell phones, they're you know, there's a lot of things that can make them stop working. probably in some areas, like last year there was Puerto Rico, and even with that hurricane that hit, the hurricanes that hit, the United States, kind of show you that, the infrastructure we use to communicate is actually very fragile. And when something bad happens, we're kind of left with nothing. And even the law enforcement has problems communicating in these times. Here, I always, I mention it over and over again because it's the best example we have here in southern Quebec. The 1998 ice storm. 1998 ice storm was the biggest natural disaster of Canada until they had the fires in the northern territories a couple of years back. It was a major catastrophe. I mean, there was so much ice on everything that the power, the power grid was collapsing everywhere. I mean, we were barely holding on to whatever power we had, and some areas didn't have electricity for more than a month. And what was happening is that it showed that no one could communicate, and no one had the possibility to communicate in law enforcement. And if it wasn't for the amateur radio community that stepped in, there would have been no communications at all. I still remember there were these emergency nets running 24 hours and relaying messages and important information about what was needed. It was something. And amateur radio showed how it's important that it exists. And unfortunately, too many people today think that it's no, amateur radio is that it's an old thing. Radio, come on, no, it's something that needs to continue. It is there in times of emergency. Amateur radio operators are not just hobbyists. They're not just having fun with the radio, even if part of it is that. They have the knowledge and the capability of using that equipment in times of need. And Amateur Radio Field Day, that's coming out next week, is a demonstration of that. So Field Day is that weekend on, that's always in June, and I believe it's something like always the last weekend of June. It is amateur radio operators that have to follow the following rules. If you want to participate to the Field Day, you can't power your station with the mains electricity of your home. You gotta be as if you were in an emergency situation. So you can't use those fancy commercial antennas. You got to demonstrate that your knowledge of radio is capable of having you on the air using battery power generators, makeshift antennas of any kind that you'll build yourself. And that's one of the cool contests because I find it so cool to see all of these amateur stations fill up the airwaves with that capability of just powering themselves and finding unique ways of staying on the air, like if there was an emergency. So Field Day is a great event for that. And that's next week on all bands. So if you hear stations on all bands and they call Field Day, they're participating in that. And it's not just HF, it's VHF also, VHF, UHF. So that means you could hear some on the 2-meter band, 70 centimeters, and the 440 megahertz range. Of course, all the HF bands of amateur radio. Lots of stations, of course, participating in that for sure. Miguel Almash says, like I mentioned last week, I received a QSL from Voice of Korea. This week, one from KBS. Go figure. Competition now. Which one will send a QSL fastest? KBS. Mickey, you kind of represent the new era for Korean relations. You got a Voice of Korea from North Korea last week, and then a KBS from South Korea this week. It must be the new relations going on. Max the Windcat. What device I use on the shortwave stations on the computer? I use an AFEDRI. A-F-E-D-R-I. A-F-E-D-R-I. It's a long wave, medium wave, and shortwave station. Okay, what else do we have? Let me go down, let me go down, let me go down. Man, just take a piece of wire and you know, just shove it in a tree or something and clip it to your antenna. As simple as that, Bailey. I'm going to try, but at this time, 9705 is probably not going to make it very well here. I hear faint talking, but it's too faint. It's just a little too faint to make out. PLF radio. Super 20 dances, huge thunderstorms in Florida. It's that time of year, eh? You know, it's hot and muggy. What else do we have? What else do we have? Oh, your birthday falls on the Quebec national holiday, VNA. Well, happy birthday. So you'll finally be 18 years old. You'll be an adult now. Rock Ristorante says yes, 12015, even stronger than 11635. Wow, cool. Would you one day try Twitch streaming? Yeah, it's not out of the question at all. I've actually, what I wanted to eventually set up is a dual stream. One would go to Twitch and the other one would be on YouTube Live, and have them simultaneously at the same time. And see what, you know, how it's going to go and what the options. And you know what I like about YouTube is the fact that it saves on YouTube automatically, and YouTube has a way of doing this that's really honestly very nice, because everything's automatic. But I did think a lot about Twitch. I do have a Twitch account, and when I started the Twitch streaming account, the idea behind Twitch was when I was with my nephew doing our tech show every week. So when we were doing that tech show, we actually, I had set up a Twitch account and was thinking of how to, you know, maybe stream on Twitch. And it never materialized because it was kind of a complex setup. It's maybe not as a complex setup now because I got two phones that are great. So I could maybe stream with both phones at the same time, and simply have one on Twitch and one on YouTube Live. Philip Jones, nice to have you here. Danny Shortwave Radio DX, nice to have you on board. What else is there? Super 20 Dan says, my handheld VHF was invaluable in the last hurricane here in Florida. Told who had power. Yeah, it's crazy. It's even crazier. It's even crazier. You know what? What's crazy is the fact that there's so many people that don't have a radio in their home that I'm amazed. You know, it's just crazy. Rick Robbins, nice to have you here. Yeah, life-threatening situations. It's you know, it's just really important for everybody to try to be able to stay on the air. You know. Hey, Rolf Better, nice to have you here. Vianney says, I hope I will have a chance to participate in Field Day with usual in the future. Haha, that would be nice. That would be nice. What also would be fun, Vianney, is know what? If I ever go back, if I ever go into the Gaspé region, maybe we could do a little de-expedition somewhere in the Gaspé area. That would be also kind of nice to have a beer together and do a little de-expedition at the same time in the in what must be a very low noise environment. I can tell you that. St. Joseph 74 said you can use mains power, but your score suffers. My club uses a generator and batteries in the spirit of original field day in 1933. Oh, you can use the main power. Yeah, it's okay that your score suffers, because I find it much more interesting if you are capable, of powering your own devices, you know, with whatever means that you that you can, you know, and find original ways also. Bailey says can't receive KBS World at all in the UK. Yeah, maybe a piece of wire, you know, putting a piece of wire outside will make your chances go a little higher. I haven't tried it this week, but I had several people mentioning that KBS World Radio English 15575 was actually coming in not too bad in the past week in the morning around, what is it, 1300 UT? 13 to 1400 UT, I think it is. I need to check it out. I'll try it tomorrow morning. I want to try it out. Yannis says, I'm not living in North Korea, but I'm living in South Gaspésia. Oh, God. What's your favorite number station? Asks Nicola. Well, I don't know what to say about what would be my favorite number station. I can't say I have a favorite number station, but I can say I love number stations, you know? Maurice Zakarski, nice to have you here. Do you prefer SDR over tabletop receiver? Here's the thing. Since I've been using a Fedri SDR, because it performs so well, I have to say that my ICOM here suffers from that use. Because if okay, let's remove the display, the waterfall. Just remove all the waterfall, and you have only a frequency, and then I would go in my ICOM. I wouldn't care about an SDR. But the fact that I tune a signal, and for example here, I'm tuned to 9705, but I see there's a line there. There's a signal here that I will tune, which is 9565. And I can see that there's a signal and there's something to listen to. So there's a visual aspect to it that makes it much more appealing and interesting to a standard tabletop. That said, I still love listening and tuning around with a tabletop receiver. But I would have missed a lot of signals that I would not know they were on the air if I was not using a software-defined radio. So, you know, that is something that I gotta say makes this SDR so cool to use. And, you know, it kind of made me a little... Radio Van Cuba 11860.
En la isla de la Juventud nos pueden sintonizar en frecuencia modulada por los 91.7 MHz, 39.1 MHz. En estas frecuencias transmitimos las 24 horas.
So Radio Van Cuba 11860 right now. So, you know, the visual aspect of it, I gotta say, wins me a lot in using my SDR a lot more than a tabletop. But I still love tabletops, I gotta say. Rich in Atlanta, Georgia says, hey all, I've been hearing KQ2H repeater on 29920 FM in New York State. Yeah, I've heard that one a few times. 29,920 when the sporadic E-skip is very short. I've heard that a few times. Let's check it out just out of curiosity. Channel 6 to the CB band. Anything happening there? Seems to be really quiet right now. Oh! He's the king of the South, apparently. So, channel 6 CB 27025. Some sporadic E-skip probably happening right now. Let's try 29620. These are FM repeaters. Let's just put ourselves in FM here. Let's see if I can, if there's anything there. Probably not, but kind of interesting. Let's try 27555 in upper sideband, the 11 meter calling frequency. And see what, if we can hear anything. We'll leave it there like this a little bit. Oh, I didn't check my email today, Jerry. I'll be checking it out right now. Let me just go here and check out. It's true, I forgot about that midwinter thing. Thanks for sending it to me. Okay, so Jerry sent me the link. Okay. So there will be, as there is every year, a Antarctic midwinter broadcast. For the BBC World Service. They have this every year. So is there a date on this? I'm curious because at the top, about the Atlantic Midwinter Broadcast 2014. This is weird. There's the frequencies. I'm trying to find the trying to find there. So they give the frequencies, but they don't seem to have the times. Let me just check it out here. That one looks like, okay, let me just check it out here. Yeah. It says 2014. So I'm not sure what to say about what that is for the midwinter, because I know they have at the solstice, usually around the 21st of June, they have the midwinter broadcast. So I guess that could be the broadcast. But at the top of the page it says 2014. That's weird. Again, it says, yes, I'm an adult. Will be 68-year-old. Wow. Hope I'm mature a bit. Not too much. You want to keep that little young guy still there. It's very important, Vienny. Rick Robbins, hello there. Nice to have you on board. K4YPS. So he's going to try to record it on this R30. Have you tried a little bit of shortwave on the R30? Just seeing how it performs out of curiosity. Steve says 9705 carrier here with no audio. So on Twitch also, saves the video on, can you save the video on YouTube via Twitch? Or it saves it on Twitch? So what else do we have? Thundershots, nice to have you here from Connecticut. I'm thinking about getting a ham license. Do you have any suggestions of where to get started? Well, the internet has a lot of stuff, but check out the amateur radio clubs around your area. I'm sure there are quite a few amateur radio clubs in your area. So check out some amateur radio club that's not too far from where you live. From there, you will have the best help in the world on where and how, and in people helping you out, and in getting your ham license. Um, that's probably the best thing that you can do. Google amateur radio clubs in Connecticut, and I'm sure you'll find there are quite a few of them that will be ready to help you out. What else do we have? Hey, Rolf Bender says, oh yes, I will record the BBC Midwinter also. So what else do we have? Going down, going down. A little far behind right now, so Vinny says, yes, come on, Joe, tell me when. It will be a great pleasure. First meet you and second have radioactivity together. Absolutely, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool. Promise, if I ever go to your area, we have to meet up, that's for sure. And what else do we have? No, the Lincolnshire Portrait was a very unique one, absolutely. Absolutely. So what else do we have? Yep, KBS World Radio North America, 13 to 1400 and 15575. Vanessa says, Shortwave show is fantastic for all the persons that have radio passion, but something I can't understand. We have now 94 viewers, but only 27 thumbs up. Aha. Got to get more thumbs up, or VNA is going to go to your place and smack you. Well, you know what? As the question is, why not use the tabletop SDR like the ICOM ICR 8600 or ICOM 7300? Yeah, they're nice devices, but the difference is that costs $200, where the ICOM ICR 8600 costs $3,000. Even though the 7300 is lower in price, you know, it's still much more expensive than an ephedry, for example. Yeah, it has the negative side that you got to use a computer, and that's totally true. But you know, bang for price. I mean, the performance you get, price paid, it's really good. But you know, I would use an ICOM R8600 or the ICOM C7300. 7300 would be great because it actually would bring me a transceiver at the same time, for sure. Madrid DXer says excellent, 11 meter E-skip. Bobby says that's CB2. Shortwave frequency channel. Hello again, I'm 12 years old. I'm thinking of getting ham license. Can I take it now, or must I be over 18 years old? I don't think there's a an age limit to having your ham license. I think you can at 12 years old you can, if you're capable of passing the tests, you are going to get your ham license. You don't need to be 18. I've seen several young teenagers, and even before being teenagers, I've seen some young, like, you know, 10 or 11 years old, 9, 10, 11-year-old ham operators. There's I don't think there is an age limit for being an amateur radio operator. Hey, William Helms from Florida, nice to have you here. So nice to have you have you on board. My balance I've been winding, been shorting them out, got one working. Huh. Bill K3 WDR. Thundershots looks up Gordon West. He has a good study guide for the technician license for about $25. Elizabeth Granville, hey, nice to have you here. Having trouble picking stations in Anchorage. Is the problem my area or my trusted Radio Shack DX375? In Anchorage, Alaska, I would bet that signals are maybe not as strong as certain other areas of the world. You know, typically in the North America, the West Coast tends to have weaker signals than the East Coast. First of all, for the East Coast is closer to Europe, where a lot of signals are coming from. You should still be able to pick up quite a lot of stations from Asia. Make sure that you know, set it up right. Check out your noise level also. If you live in an area where, you know, the neighbors are pretty close to you in Anchorage, you might suffer noise. Maybe there's even noise from within your household. Make sure that there's not too much noise. And do a little test, Elizabeth. You can take your radio and go outside your home, you know, 30, 40 feet away from any homes. And if you see that you start receiving more signals, that's because you have less noise. And that means the problem maybe is noise more than anything else. I don't have a lot of knowledge on the Radio Shack DX375, but you know, if I kind of compare what the Radio Shack DX, you know, receivers were back then, that should be probably sensitive enough to kind of receive signals. Also, you know, maybe clipping a piece of wire to the antenna of the radio might actually improve a lot also. So it's you know, but there is going to be okay, thanks Mickey for the sharing to make sure it was okay. Okay, so absolutely, it's the show here is you guys' show. It's our show. It's everybody's show. It's a place for that. Hey, we're at 104 viewers right now. This is cool. Pretty nice for a guy that's sick. You guys making me happy. We passed the 100 mark. So Mickey Delmage is sharing with us that Thursday, June 21st, 2018, is the BBC World Service annual midwinter broadcast to British Antarctic Survey. Staff working in Antarctica. It happens on Midwinter's Day in Antarctica. So Mickey Delmage says the schedule in 2016 and 2017 were as follows. So we don't have the actual frequencies for 2018, but that was for the past 2 years. There's a chance that maybe those frequencies will be used again. 2130 to 2200 UTC, 5985 from Wolverton, UK, 6035 from Dabaya in the United Arab Emirates, and 7360 from Ascension Islands. Now remember, these frequencies at 2130 UT are like totally inaudible here. I've never heard the midwinter broadcast ever. Yannis says, I agree with you, Shell. Oh, I'm far behind. I talked about that such a long time ago. I'm going to try to get it a little faster now. Yannis says, I agree with you, Shell. Mature, but not completely blocked for because life is good. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bill K3WDR says $14 for a ham exam. 6-year-old son have gotten their license. So it gives you an idea. Wicked Garden. I'm in the Mississippi River Valley in Shortwave, southwest Wisconsin, and I'm trying to build an antenna that will give me maximum results for 1 to 30 megahertz on my Greenwich Satellite 750 and SDR. You know, start by a long wire. in an area where you might not have a lot of noise. That's the first, always the first thing that comes to mind. And the reason why the long wire is always the first thing that comes to mind is it's the most inexpensive thing you can do. And it works amazingly well if you have low noise. If it's noisier, then you might have to go into something like a magnetic loop of some sort. You can build one, or you can purchase one like the, what is it, W6LVP is the call sign of the guy making loops in the US that are pretty good. A lot of people are using also the one that is made in Europe, the other loop there, but it's more expensive. The Wellbrook loops. These, if you have a lot of noise, will kind of help eliminate some of the noise. But the first thing that I would always come to mind to anybody trying to get better reception, start by putting up a long wire antenna. And try to put it in a way that you might have the least interference possible. Put it as long as you can, and you might be surprised at the results. Emil Jensen, nice to have you here. Austin Fleming, hello there, nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Yeah, conditions Super Bowl 6, 27025 in the clear. Maurice Zakarski says, thank you, Joel. I have an Earthspy HF Plus, but I still prefer portable receiver shortwave. I don't get the feel. It's not the same feel. That, you know, what you say there is true. Okay, apart from the fact that the waterfall and see the stuff, I understand that because I will tune the icon from time to time and not start the SDR for the simple reason that it is fun to tune around a radio. Self-contained box with all the stuff to listen to the radio. And, you know, I do enjoy tuning around with my portable receivers a lot. You know, I could compare that feel to something, you guys are going to find it maybe funny. But I got to say, I had to adapt to that when I was, to that. When I had I started Shortwave. I had the Realistic DX100 here, which is an analog tuning, so it's kind of difficult. It's a, you know, it's a guessing game, almost trying to find your stations. When I got my DX302 with the digital display, somehow there was kind of a fun part that I lost. And I had realized that one of the fun parts that I did kind of find, even though it was sometimes frustrating, the fact that I had to search carefully for a signal I wanted to hear added some kind of a feel to listening to shortwave that was gone suddenly because I was like, oh, it's on 9505. Here we are, 9505. And I was like, oh, okay, now it's simple. There it is. It didn't stop me from listening. It was not the feel that, you know, prevented me from listening, but kind of compared to that. It's as if the fact that it was like suddenly so easy to just tune the frequency and see if it's there kind of removed the mysterious, maybe I'm going to get that station. Now it's like, oh, no, I'm not getting it. Next. Let's move on. There's something weird, you know? Dan Walsh, what's the difference between the Texan PL 380 and 310? Dan, so Bailey's got 13760 inside. Cool. Happy for you, man. So, if we're talking about because the 310 has two versions, okay? First of all, there's the 310 and the 310 ET. It has two letters after it. So if you compare the 380 to the 310, they're basically pretty much the same radio, except that the 380 has selectable wideband filters. You can choose 6, 4, 3, 2, and 1 kilohertz wide, which is kind of unique and very interesting. because it's a DSP chip within the radio. The 310 has the same DSP chip, but doesn't have this capability. If we compare to the 310 ET, the ET version of the 310 is basically a more modern version of the 310. They kind of upgraded the version. And it has easy tuning mode. That's why they call it ET. The 380 has easy tuning mode also, which is an amazing feature, I gotta say, for these radios. So that's pretty much the difference. In terms of reception, they're pretty much the same, I gotta say. So what else to, okay, Bobby, thanks. Driver film shortwave, hoping for some e-skip tomorrow. Yeah, actually I'd like that, an evening of listening to FM. You know, one of the big things I did when I had my, when I got my first Kenwood, the Kenwood R5000 receiver, I remember that I looked at the receiver and I kind of wondered why there was an FM button on the Kenwood. I was like, why is there an FM mode on the Kenwood R5000? And of course, after searching, that's where I found, oh, the upper part of the 10-meter band has FM signals. Amateur radio operators actually operate on FM there. And of course, we were in times of very high solar activity. So I was lucky that when I was tuning above 28, 29 megahertz mostly, I started listening to these FM repeaters. And I remember, you know, getting like in some winter day, having the Virgin Islands repeater on 29660 booming in all day long. And sometimes just for the fun of it, I'd leave my Kenwood R5000 on 29660 in FM mode and just listen to that all day long. It was kind of cool to listen to it. I'd like to have some FM repeaters this weekend. That'd be cool. Mark Cope, nice to have you here. Brian Iowa, nice to have you here. Says, just received Unidon's new digital handheld scanner, the SDS100. It has all SDR technology in it and nice color screen you can customize. Oh, cool. Looks pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. And Richard Cook, nice to have you here. Vancouver Island DXer bought some rope and pulleys this week for raising a wire loop between two tall. Now the trick will be to see if I can get enough low branches out of the way so that I can reach the higher ones. Oh. What else do we have? Let's go down slowly. Slowly. So okay, Mark Coops is listening and watching, mostly listening to the show on my drive home. Makes Dallas rush hour much better. Well, that's cool. If I'm helping you in your rush hour situation, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Becky Travels. Have you been able to pick up any number stations lately? I think the last one I heard was the HM01 from Cuba. I think it was last week. I haven't been actively searching for number stations. Sometimes I would do. Sometimes I would, you know, go on preom.org and you know, like try to tune in the different number stations over there. But yeah, it's true. The 310 ET has an antenna jack. I remember. That's true. William Helm says AlaskaNet from ENET 146610. Repeaters fun to listen to. Good looking honky. Beer and a computer. Time has surely changed. Yeah, when I was young it was like beer and Coca-Cola. Now it's beer and computers. Hey Fastlow, how are you, man? Hope you are well, my friend. Yeah, it's Last year they had it very last minute. If I remember, Jerry, the 2018 frequencies were kind of posted at the very, very last minute. Propagation seems to be not too bad, fast load, honestly. What else do we have? Vianney says, my opinion, I think you don't need to compare the different equipment you have, but more have much fun with any equipment you use. That's true. That's true. Does AM radio pick up pulses from outer space? I don't think so. But, you know, on shortwave, maybe, because you could get Jupiter on 21 megahertz. And if you're on the VHF, UHF range, you can get satellites. And who knows, with a really big antenna, you know? Yeah, why not try your DX302 fast load? Charlie Newton, nice to have you here. Oh, that would be nice. VE2 UNB Unibro. They will pay for my show after that. I've never thought that I'd love a Unibro without my amateur radio gear. When I call CQ on that Saturday evening, I always want to have my sweet fin du monde. Kevin Y, nice to have you here. Richard Cook says Pirate currently on 6210. Oh, that'd be nice. Are there any VE2 left? Maybe it could be a VA2. What else do we have? Now, Elizabeth Granville says, thanks, Joe and William. We'll check out 146610. Yeah, it'll be a VHF range. What else do we have? Bill Mead says that in the early 80s, the first generation cordless phones were just above the medium wave band. That's true. That's true. And they were in FM mode. They could be heard for long distances. I remember my mom bought a cordless phone in 1982, 3. It was the first time I'd seen a cordless phone with like a really funky long antenna on it. And I remember that I could listen to my mom talking to my sister all day long on my DX100 and the 1.7, around 1.7 megahertz. It was like, I think they were, if I'm not wrong, the cordless phones of that period were in what is today the expanded AM band. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's where they were. And I remember it was distorted, but I could listen to my mom talking to my sister. So sometimes when they were talking about some, you know, things that might interest me, I would snoop in on my radio, and they didn't know anything about it. And then, of course, we had another cordless phone. That's the one that I bought in the early 90s. That was in the 49 megahertz range. And I remember that was a funny one because it was a Sanyo cordless phone, and just by accident, I noticed one day that because, you know, I'm a curious guy. I mean, I'm a radio guy. So one day, one of the things that crossed my mind is, oh, if I unplug the base of the cordless phone, what will I hear in the handset? Will it just hiss because there's no signal? So I unplugged, and suddenly I hear this lady talking. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. I tried the next day, but I hear nobody talking. I press to shut it down, and when I press the button to dial, I actually hear the dial tone, but the base of my phone is unplugged. And I'm like, what the hell? And I make a phone number, and it actually rings. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And that's where I understood for the first time that my next door neighbor had the same exact Sanyo model that I had. And when the bass was unplugged, I was triggering her bass. And I could make calls from her bass. And I was like, man, I could make long distance calls from her phone without her ever knowing about it. And one night, I totally freaked her out because I was listening to her and I just said, hello. And then the voice stopped. And she said to the other one, did you hear hello? And the other one said, yeah. It's so weird. And they were like all freaked out. What the hell is that? So anyways, that's where they had cordless phones with these security codes after, so that you can't trigger other phones without having the same matching code with the base. That's why phones later came with the fact that you would actually have to put them on the base of the phone so they would actually match an ID number. So when you pick up the phone, the base and the phone knew they were the ones talking to each other, and it would not trigger other base of, that was just so funny. Just so funny. One of those things sometimes, Oh, God. These times. Richard Cook's listening to 7360. Jerry's listening to Hams on D-Star, probably on his ICOM SCR30. Philip Jones, nice to have you here. What else do we have? Ralph Bender. So we're at the bottom of the... So anyways, it was kind of an interesting thing, but part of the, learning curve, basically. So hey guys, let's tune a little bit on the bands if you want. We'll be checking out what here. I'm gonna just load up EIBI space list of frequencies so that we can see what exactly am I hearing, and tune around to see what's there. You're watching the Shortwave show, and I kind of did an ID myself at the beginning, by the way. So for anybody that's there and doesn't know, this is the Shortwave radio show. We are live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and we talk about radio all the time. We have fun. I personally didn't think I would make it because I was so damn sick all week that I thought there would be no shows. So it's kind of nice. This is the place where you can help me with donations if you wish to. Sorry. PayPal.me/shortwave, or at the Yahoo email that you see there, or on Patreon.com/radioandcomputers, where we have a new donator. So we're 11 donators, monthly donators on Patreon now. So why not become a patron? Just be careful the way you set it up, not have a bad surprise. PayPal.me/shortwave, and of course the Yahoo email to send it if it doesn't work. But this is kind of nice. They have donations. It helps me continue. And sorry, got distracted here. And pay for the equipment, the lighting, and everything needed to do live shows. And cheers. So thanks for everything, and hope you enjoy today's show as usual. So we'll tune the bands a little bit now, if you guys wish. We'll have a little fun with that. So nice to have Philip Jones here. Trevor from the Shortwave says, yeah, Ralph Bender 108. You're 108. Let's try to beat 110. Let's try to go up to 120. That'd be fun. We'll talk about naked chicks. and cats. Maybe that's gonna jump the number. Naked chicks and cat coming up in 5 minutes. Not naked cats with chicks, but naked chicks with cats is probably better. Okay, we'll be serious here. Cuban lady on 11635. Is she naked when she gives the numbers? Okay, I'll be serious now. Yeah, I hear it weak, but it's there. 11635. I do hear it, but it's weak. Fessel got a faint 3330 CHU. Let's see if I can hear it here. Not even making it here. It's too noisy. Way too noisy. Jason Stafford from Oregon, nice to have you here. Drinking a dead guy. Okay. I guess that's some sort of beer. I hope. Or else, or else you're a vampire, and well, okay. Driver from Shortwave says, always laugh when you press the bass button on the charger of Ricardo's phone. The phone rings and somebody thinks the phone is really ringing. Do this at work for laugh. Oh man. That's so funny. It's so funny. Okay. Let's see what's on the air. Let's check out the... let's start like, you know, I don't know. Let's start at the 17-meter amateur band. Anything there? Nope. The higher frequencies have been really, really bad in the past few weeks. Dallas McKenzie, nice to have you here. Fast Load says, yeah, pretty much like me. Very faint. I hear something, but it's just too weak to hear. Okay, let's see here. Anything else we can hear? So the higher frequencies has really, really not been very good in the past few weeks, with you know, solar flux staying really, really low. What else do we have here? Let's put this a little higher. So what else do we have? Any signals? Anything cool to listen to? And now already here, there's something faint here. Okay, 15670. Fading signal, but there's something on 15670.
Bueno, en estos años hemos visto interesantes de escala editorial.
15.
La movilidad. Ahí es buena una de las arterias.
15670 is Radio Romanian Spanish. Radio Romanian Spanish. I didn't even know to use that frequency at this time. So, Radio Romanian Spanish on 15670. Not super strong, but it's there. It's there. Oh yeah, XPA2, the Russian number station. Look at that, 13923, upper sideband. That's the Russian number station. Wonder from what part of Russia they're transmitting. Probably it's close to Moscow or something like that. It's probably the western part of Russia for sure. (13923). So this is a number station, by the way, for those that wonder. This is a type of number stations. So they're not all giving numbers by talking. Some of them have digital modes of some sort. So this is a form of number station. Right now it's not doing anything. When it does transmit a message, it starts to like hacked up. It's like it sounds like some form of MFSK or frequency shift keying type. Richard Cook says Spain on 17855. PLF radio says Solar Flux 71. And K index is 1. That's not too bad. Propagation should not be too bad tonight. Here's the message. That's the official message. It's kind of cute to see the little peaks here move and what it looks like on the display. You know, I don't understand the thing. I can't decode it. You know, I don't know what it's saying. But it's just damn cool to hear a Russian spy station. That's all I gotta say. You know, somebody there, they said, well, why are you listening to that? There's nothing to, no, it's just, you're part of some international conspiracy or some sort here. You know, maybe that thing is saying we're going to poison some other agent in this country next week. You know, because they're really good at it. So, I should not say that, but yeah. I was about to say something so much worse, and then I thought, yeah, better take it easy. You're on YouTube. You know, you don't want to have anybody complaining about what you're going to say. So, so this is, a spy station, and it's coming from Russia right now. 13923. Pretty good signal, too. Pretty good signal. Bobby Burgess says, "Oh, you have Rivet in Java." No, I don't have that installed. Richard Cook's got 13923, very strong. Ryan, Iowa, Hater is receiving it. 13923 also. Fastful can hear it, and it's over. PLF radio can hear it too. Brian Iowa says, sounds cool. Absolutely. That is absolutely cool. I gotta say. It's some kind of shifted MFSK mode. It's Ralph Bender says it's 14-tone MFSK. And I know that there's some that Rivet in Java kind of decodes whatever. It doesn't tell you what it's saying, but it's decoding whatever numeric message it wants to send out. Kevin Weiss says, Joel RCA makes the travel TV reminds me of when you were talking about TV skip. Oh, RCA, yeah. RCA. I don't know about you guys, but RCA, every damn thing I bought of RCA was always very crappy and never lasted very long. I don't know if it's just my experience, but man. Vanny Ostano says, internet will never give this kind of feeling. I mean, you have your antenna, you have your radio, and you catch this signal. Absolutely. It's just cool. Wow, Jerry has got it on his R30. Did you record it? Richard Cook's got 15245 for Boris of Korea. I'm sure he's going to get a little Java with a little bit of milk. That's good. That's more in the morning for me. Password says 13670, which is that big signal right there. That I believe is Voice of America, right? This is Voice of America. And I always forget what's that language. BM. You guys told me last week, and I never remember it. This is Voice of America from Greenville, North Carolina, and the United States. The only thing, Jerry, that I would say to you is if you do record it on your R30 and you have a trip to Russia, try not to bring your R30 with the recording of XPA2. It might get you in trouble and you might be disappearing forever from the face of the earth. Could it be that bad? I don't know. You know, what about if you go to Cuba and you've got a recording of the Cuban number station? How bad of trouble could you be in? That's an interesting thing, you know? David in Barcelona, nice to have you here. Raptor 22 Stealth. APLF Radio, take care. Just to remind you guys, there's not going to be any shows tomorrow. I'm going to take it easy because with the week that I just had, I will be kind of taking easy tomorrow, just relaxing because as some of you guys have mentioned, I do look tired, and I am a little tired. And you know what? Bambara. Thank you, Rock Ristorante. Bambara. I was trying to remember. It was like, oh man, it's... and I remembered it was easy to to pronounce. And I was like, oh man, I just couldn't remember it. And by the way, whoever told me at the beginning of the show, you know, beer works miracles. Because even though I'm tired and I was sick all week, I gotta say, as I now, a beer and a half, I actually feel better. It is true that alcohol makes you feel better in every situation. Well, except maybe when you have a broken heart. That might be another bad one. But, you know. What else do we have? Madrid the Extra says, I know that the XPA2 message was, we are hosting the World Cup and we're the first game. You know, that's the kind of comment that's like, so come on, that can't be. That we'd be surprised at whatever message can be sent out over these things. You know, maybe some of these are saying, hey man, we're running out of vodka. We need vodka. Come on. Oh God. Life is a waste of time. Time is a waste of life. Get drunk all the time and you'll have time of your life. Peter Atkinson says, broken heart leads to alcohol. Well, probably. I had my heart broken once, and I was young. You know, I would think it's probably the same for everyone. The first love of your life is always the one that's the most difficult when it breaks. Especially when you're not the one that breaks it, but the other one. It's kind of, and that was the hardest one. Then, you know, I don't know, it kind of made me, put me in a heart of stone a little bit. So no, not really, but, you know, it's different after. It's as if it changes something and it's like, okay, now I'm gonna, you know, the hell with you. If you're not happy, go away. Or almost. Blanchard says, haven't heard the propagation conditions this good in the UK in a long time, 80, 40, and 20. This week, the times that I've listened to, even though I was, you know, like half dead, I tuned my Fedri SDR to my laptop a little bit, maybe 15 minutes, because it was like, after 15 minutes, I was just tired of, I was too tired to continue, but I tuned a few signals, and I was amazed at how signals were strong. And one of them, every evening this week that I tuned around 11 p.m. local, which is 0300 UT, Radio New Zealand was booming in 13840. I mean, you could listen with a portable, with just a telescopic, to New Zealand easily, easily. 13840. Fast load, if you're up tonight at around 11 p.m. or midnight, you got to try that one. New Zealand comes in super well in English. 13840. Past 11 p.m., like 11 p.m. midnight, it is amazing. Then they change their frequencies at, I believe it's at 0500 UT, which is 1 a.m. local. They change their frequency to 11725, which I also heard coming in very well. When they do that frequency shift and they put their interval signal, I actually posted a video, I think it's last week, of that. Pretty good. Rock Restaurante says there's a saying of one beer a day keeps the doctor away. Huh? I heard that one with apples, but if beer does the same thing, thank God. Mario the Extra says, Jill, you say that I remember decoding some 8 cars from the London airports, and a while back I received a message saying something like, having a hard day, we'll get a beer when we finish. Okay. Why not? Steve's got the, okay, that, probably for a lot of us, that would work. A broken heart equals new radio. Yeah. Yeah. In my case, let's say broken heart equals a new radio and a new computer. That would work. That would work. I'm not sure, Jerry. I've got a lot of your R30 emails with the pictures. I'm trying to remember about the Whistler scanners. I might have seen them really fast. Anyways, I'll go back through my email because I keep all of your emails until I've actually read something. If you sent me these emails in the past week, they're still there. I'm going to go back and check it out a little later. Richard Cook's got Cairo on 9800 with very weak audio. 9800. Yeah, I hear something, but it's very weak. Absolutely. We've got Radio Martin 9565 with a big signal coming in. We'll tune around a little more. Read the message on WhatsApp about sleep music. Okay. Let's check it out here. The best way to stream live video to 30 plus platforms simultaneously. Wow. Okay. That's interesting. I have to check that out. Okay. That's kind of interesting. Okay. We'll check that out. That's pretty cool. Peter Atkinson says, I heard them last night, 0320 on his Texan PL 550. Cool. Okay, because I have the one, but I don't have anything else. And my phone should vibrate. I should know you're sending something. Okay, let's, Rock Ristorante says 9800 terrible modulation, which is always the case. Fastlow's got 9800 weak audio. Hey, Sparkyzilla 85, nice to have you here. And it's pretty cool. It says 10 meters open right now. Let's try, let's go back up a little bit. Let's see if I can hear something. Whoops. 27025. Okay. 28400. Check it out. Any signals on 10 meter here? I got these really, really stubborn lines on 10 meters, and I hate that. Need to check out where they're coming from. I'm not seeing much right now, but I do know that there's Sportic E because CB channel 6 was active just half an hour ago. There's something here. 85. It's there, but it's like barely there. I can hear that there's some skip happening. It's not super strong. Here's this big signal here. What's that? Yes, the E-skip is there because we hear these US stations. 27285 right now. What is that, channel 26? Something like that? Philip Jones says, using a Bonito ME350 indoors connected via 50 ohm cable to my PC with HD SDR, am I wasting my time? I don't know. I don't know. Sleep music on the radio. Oh yeah, the one that you were talking about. Oh, I got it now. Yeah, you know, it would be great on medium wave, shortwave, or FM right now. Sleep music all night with limited commercial interruptions. Yeah. Yeah. That would be nice. Channel 6 is... But it's just... It's like on the fringe of just... You know? Jack Dine says, what's on 29660? Well, usually it's an FM repeater. So normally, on that frequency, you usually need to be on FM mode. And scattered through 29600 to 29700, there are FM repeaters. Huh, so you're not getting much of any audio, but signals showing. That's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. Maybe there's just something not right. That's kind of interesting. So you're probably hearing, I would say you're hearing a repeater, an FM repeater there. So let's go back to 15670 where I was. And let's check out any other signals right there that we can listen to. There's something, really not a lot of stuff in the 19 meter band right now. I don't, let me just lower this here a little bit. So 15, what's that? 15120 with some music. 15120. Jerry says 27025 strong S9 plus. It seems like the skip is a little more, it's stronger in the maybe the south and the west than it is actually here in Montreal. I'll be checking regularly. And I'll be checking through the night. The idea of Voice of America signing off with Yankee Doodle. That's also from Greenville, North Carolina. So that's anything on the 20 meter band. So what's that here? What's that? I get, you know what? I get these pips like this in the past few weeks, and I'm wondering where they're coming from. I almost think they're local, because they're always in the same strength. Weird. There's a strong one here. What's in here? Better quiet 20 meter band, but this weekend with next weekend with field day, it's going to be really much more active than that. So there's something here. There must be some kind of pileup. There seems to be a lot of stations trying to communicate here. Victor Echo 1, Bravo, Bravo. 14171. And they're trying to contact a station I don't hear. The skip seems to be a little weird on the higher frequencies. There's a lot of really rapid fading. But I did hear Victor Echo 1, Bravo, Bravo. That does not know he's probably live on YouTube.
Victor Echo 1 Bravo Bravo.
Richard Cook says, West of Korea signing on in Spanish on 15245. Maurice Zakarski says, had reasonably strong 15120 West of America in Bambara 10 minutes ago in the UK.
Echo 1 Bravo Bravo.
Jerry said,
Echo 1 Bravo Bravo.
Jerry DX says, I think the lakes are helping me out. Big East skip dishes. That's possible. Rick Ristorante says, all I can hear on 10 meters is a local beacon 2 kilometers away from my home. Rich in Atlanta says 28185 CW beacon VA3RC. Oh, wow. VE1BB is from Saltwater Lake. The only one I hear, but obviously there must be a station that's trying to contact there. On the 20 meter band. So let's go down. So here there's of course a lot of lots of FT8. Let's I'm just gonna check my clock 2 seconds to adjust it. Let's let's see if we can hear something about FT8. JTX. Let's check out what stations are coming in on FT8. Out of curiosity. So on the 20 meter band. Whatever. My end of good mode here. FT8. Let's do that here. Oh yeah, I am. Look at that. Look at all the stations there. KD9FOF and 4KY. K0, KS0CW calling CQ. OM5XX, I believe, what, Belgium? Something like that. E74EBL. What's that? Echo 74 EBL. Looks like a grid square, but it's not. What is E74 EBL? Where's that from? I'm really curious about this one. QRZ.com. I really am curious about that one. So E74 EBL, where are you from, man? E74 EBL. Oh, really? Bosnia and Herzegovina in Europe. I never heard that call sign ever before. Never heard that. RWM on 14996. Let's just try it for a second here. So a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. OD5, ZZ. Here's again E74 EBL. EA3, so that's Spain. EA1 from Spain. R18, isn't that Russia? OE6LGF. OE, what's OE? Driver films, the Radio Club sign. Yeah. They often have these weird calls, you know. UX1BZ. UX1 is what? UX1. BZ. UX1BZ. That's from Ukraine. I almost said Ukraine. I'm not too bad with the call signs. Ukraine. Wow. This is amazing. OK2. Isn't that... OK is what? The Czech Republic? Trying to brush up my memory here. A92AA. Where's that from? A92AA. Oh, these weird call signs. Kind of cool. A92AA. Where's that from? A92AA. Bahrain. Oh, wow. That's a good one. Bahrain. A92AA is audible in FT8 from Bahrain. Have you guys noticed? So there's a YV5. That's from Venezuela. There's a DJ1, which is, I believe, Germany. There's a PA3, which is the Netherlands. Have you guys noticed? I don't know if it's me, but I have an impression that with FT8 mode, a lot of amateur radar operators have jumped on the FT8 and JT65 modes for DXing and left the other digital modes. I have the impression since FT8 is there that there's less of the other digital modes, and also even I would go as far as saying even less single sideband amateur radar operators. As if everybody wants to go there because it's that DX mode or some sort. I don't know. Crazy. Jerry says Solar Flux 70 K1. That's pretty good. Rich in Atlanta, Georgia got 28208.8 CW beacon and 8 PVL. You know, actually, that's what I should check for. So let's check for our WM time signal. So I'm not hearing anything on 14996. I'm hearing it on 9996. Not very strong, but it's there. It's not very strong, but I just heard it was IDing in Morse code. It's very weak. You can barely see it here in the display making its way within the waterfall of the audio. But it is there, 9996 RWN time signal. IDing on Morse code right now. Right now. Mad Radio DXer says FT8 is great. I caught a CQ from Chile on 10 meter band at the start of the ESKIP season. I still get CW modes on the 10 meter band as well, but yes, FT8 seems to have spiked in users. You know, I understand one thing about FT8. As I was understanding JT65, it's that in extremely weak signals, and I gotta say that is still something that I find so amazing. You'll hear nothing. I mean, your ears are gonna say there's just noise in there. But that software is gonna say, oh, there's this station from whatever. And I'm like, what? You know, last year when I was, there was a good opening on 6 meters. I was listening to that was JT65 I was using. And I believe it was 50.276. I remember when I fired up the JT65 software and started decoding the signals, at one point I thought there was nothing. I was not hearing anything. And yet, the software picked up a CQ from a Brazilian station. And I was like, whoa, Brazil on 6 meters, which for me is my record distance for 6 meters yet. And I can't understand the thrill of of JT65 and FT8, because FT8, let's face it, what's cool about FT8 is it's faster. And of course, anybody that did JT65, I would think would go to FT8 immediately, because it's like the same mode or a similar mode, but in a much faster way, which, you know, saves time. You get more contacts. And I can understand why people are going there, because, I mean, you're DXing amazing things. But at the same time, I don't know about you guys, how you guys feel about it, but like I got Bahrain now on FT8. Okay? I don't remember ever hearing a AM station from Bahrain on the bands. So I should be like jumping up and down. It's like, well, this is the first time I hear a signal from Bahrain on amateur radio. But I don't know why. There's one thing that I can't quite grab about FT8 is that it shows up on the screen. I might have heard it, but for some reason, the fact that I can't physically hear which one is that signal removes part of the DX fun that it has. I mean, in single sideband, if you hear a station from Bahrain, you're hearing a guy talking, or women talking. But it's Bahrain, so it's probably a guy. And you look at that and you hear the guy. You're hearing that guy talking to somebody, or talking to you if it's a contact. That side of things is kind of missing. You know, another example. It's not because it's a digital mode. Don't get me wrong here. Another example I'll give you. Last winter I heard a guy in Radio Teletype from Nuuk, Greenland, which I always find absolutely amazing that I'm receiving a signal from Greenland, which, because there's not a lot of amateur radio operators there, let's face it. At least, not only could I read the text, but I could hear the signal on the radio at the same time. So it's like it complements it. I hear it with my ears, even though I need a computer to decode it. Okay, that's cool. But FT8 or JT65, you hear a bunch of noise because there's like many stations at the same time. And then you get 50, you know, like I just had, you know, like 25 or 30 or 50 stations. Boop, that's what you just got. And somehow, even if in there I would have had Antarctica, for example, I would have been happy. It was like, oh wow, Antarctica. But it ain't the same. There's something missing in that mode that I can't grasp. There's something that doesn't excite me from FT8. I don't know why. It's, you know, it's I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know if you guys understand a little bit what I mean, but there's something kind of not. There's something really missing. I don't know. What do we have? Driver Film says, some say FT8 JT65 is killing ham radio. It's just a new mode and everybody wants to try it out. I've not tried it for transmitting or receiving. You know, it's, of course, these are new modes, and it's not to lower the possibilities. I mean, FT8 and JT65 is showing how we can push the low signal limit to such an extent that we can actually receive something where the human ear doesn't hear anything at all suddenly. Sparky Zilla is listening to some New England hams on 28360. Wow. MDK2 says FT8 JT65 is changing ham radio, not killing it. No, my comment was not in the sense of killing it, though. I don't think it's killing it. But I have the impression a lot of people jumped on that FT8 or GT65 thing. It's more of a personal comment, and really not like I didn't mean it in the way that it's killing ham radio at all. If that was the impression I gave, that's not what I wanted to say. David says, yeah, FTA is pretty good. Myself, I got a JA station was from Japan. Oh, I won warning some time ago. Never heard Japan in any other mode. My noise level and not so good antenna prevent that, but FTA did it. I agree. I mean, okay, let's face it. When I heard Brazil on 6 meters with JT65, I was a happy camper. I mean, I got Brazil on 50 megahertz. You don't get that every day. And I am happy to have received it, even if it was in JT65. But that said, like David says he heard Japan. Well, I heard Japan in the 15 meter band probably a dozen times, in the 15 and 20 meter band. Around, in the winter time, around the 2100 UT time period. So I've heard Japan AMs quite, not regularly, but quite a few times on the ham bands in upper sideband. And I find it, if I had a choice, I find it more interesting to receive it in that mode, or, like I said, it would be in PSK 31, where you can read text. It just seems more of a contact. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But I don't know why. I can't grasp totally the feel of it. I don't know. Joyful shortwave like DMR Echolink. Dave Todd says, might as well QSO with a robot and go digital. Yeah. Madrid the Extra said, there's always going to be negativity with a new mode or approach in any new hobby. Same with those complaining about using SDRs and it's not DXing. It's true that when there's changes in the amateur radio and radio hobby in general, there's a lot of complaining about it. And an example of that is very simple. When the Morse code obligation got removed from the amateur radio study, you had the old hams coming and being enraged with the fact that, well, why are you removing? I worked hard to learn Morse code and get my ham license. These are lazy people. They don't want to have their ham license today. And okay, you gotta modernize the hobby. And let's face it, I say it all the time, you gotta make it not too complex, because you gotta face it, there's a lot less young people today that are fans of amateur radio than there were 30 or 40 years ago. And that means if you want to have hams in the future, you might have to kind of make it easier to be there and get in the hobby. Morse code removal is, in 2018, there's not a lot of things using Morse code. And, I'm not saying here that Morse code isn't a good thing, because for humans, Morse code is one of the great modes for anything that is very difficult to copy. You won't be able to decipher what somebody's saying with his voice, but you'll be able to, with a human ear, know what they're saying in Morse code. So there's some importance that you got to keep. And Morse code needs to have some importance. But it shouldn't be what prevents you from getting a ham license, because it's like going in school. When you study for something specific, you shouldn't have something that's out of the boundaries of your field of learning blocking you from getting that where you want to be at. So, you know, there's always people that's always complaining, that's for sure. And, you know, here is, I'm not, my question is not a complaint, but really it was much more of an observation of things. Because I'm not complaining. I ain't complaining at FT8. I mean, I've installed the software. I sometimes do it. Sometimes, you know, I'm doing things, and I'll just leave SGTX, and I'll put it on FT8, and, you know, sometimes raise my eyes just to look at whatever station's coming in. I mean, it is kind of cool, that's for sure. Vancouver Island DX is chill. Have you ever copied signals using field hell digital modes? They are very inefficient, but fun to listen to. They sound just like dot-matrix printers on their text appears. I've received field hell once, about 2 or 3 years ago. 2 hams actually worked on that mode. It was the first time ever I had received that mode, and it's the last time ever I have received that mode. And it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I was, you know, that day, and I still remember that day for one specific reason. That day I was really having fun with digital modes, and I was into amateur bands, and what I wanted to listen to the digital portions of the bands, but have the unusual modes and see if amateur radio operators, if some of them actually use other modes than always, you know, PSK31 or, you know, RTTY or whatever. So I started looking at the amateur band plan to see where each mode is usually used. And that day, on 20 meters, I remember spending about 5 hours on 20 meters that day. And that day I heard Olivia, I heard MFSK, I heard Field Hell, I heard a few other modes, weird modes. And of course, part of the fun of it is I would hear a mode and was like, what the hell is that? I don't know what that's, you know, because there are modes, when you listen regularly, you get used to the different modes. So, you know, I can recognize easily radio teletype. I can even recognize pretty easily when radio teletype is, you know, sent in wide or narrow, just by the sound of it. Of course, PSK is easy to identify. FTA GT65 is easy to identify by ear. But Olivia, MFSK, and all of that are very close in sound. So when you're not used to it, okay, what's that? And what was interesting that day is that they were using speeds that are, you know, when somebody's on Olivia, it's usually on Olivia 16500. They're almost always 16500. But that day they had Olivia 32 1K. Or they were using those modes, but in speeds that I don't usually see. So I was having to tweak my sound, you know, I was on FLDG, and I was having to choose different modes until success. You have text, you have something that's readable. And it's like, wow, okay, they're using 32 1K. Huh. And then MFSK, whatever, speed, and so on. I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun that day. And that was the first and only time I heard Field Hell. Or Fell Hell. I've never heard that after. Ever. Someone in Spanish, 15600. Do I hear 15600? Nothing here. There is something. No, that's interference. Okay. 9230.
Number 4, the last one. No, it's not the last one. Yes,
Yes, fast load 9330.
The third part of the sun was smitten is
He wants to make sure that Jesus is in your life, Fastland. You should listen and let me know if Jesus is in your life. David says, that being said, I don't think ham radio going all FT8. No, not everybody's going all FT8 or DMR. Ham radio needs to be about everything. You know, that's very, very important. Ham radio needs to be about everything. Oh, Jerry, wow. Usually air shows have a lot of communications that you can listen to, Jerry. Yeah, and David, you're right. You're right. Oh, really? Ham Radio Deluxe automatically recognizes the modes. Really? Oh, I didn't know that. HRD is a paid software, right? I used to use I think it was Ham Radio Deluxe 5. It would control my ICOM, and you can have it for free. But I think after that, they kind of put the paid version, right, Yvonne? Nice to have you here, Yvonne, by the way. No, there are advantages, absolutely, like David says. Absolutely. I mean, we're here to be open-minded and to talk about how amateur radio. You know, every aspect of it is important, honestly. Let's check out something here. That's coming in not bad. Voice of Turkey in English, 9830. Not as strong as usual, though. 9830.
Thanks so much for your beautiful visit and for the session. I also wish you a very happy day. The following message.
And Radio Romania 9760.
Made it to the semifinals after a pass-off against Australian Slovenian pair to semi-final for each 7-6. The third.
Don't forget, guys, that we're getting into the longest day of summer coming up in a little less than a week's time on Thursday, June the 21st. Longest day of the year in Northern Hemisphere. So we're in the prime time of summer. Starting next week, days are going to slowly getting shorter again, and we'll be once again going into that winter period. We're still very far off, but you know, it goes fast. Does the older version do the automatic decode also? I haven't used Ham Radio Deluxe in a long time now. Hello there, Mr. Cosmic Lettuce. Nice to have you on board from Arizona. Pretty cool. Veneer 6 says that CW calling on 5103. So 6 meters. Let me check it out here. Just out of curiosity, if 6 meters. If 6 meters is open here. I'll try upper sideband. See if 6 meters has anything to offer on the icon. I'm not receiving anything right now, but apparently 6 meters is booming with signals. Cuban lady on 10715. I think I got a interference smack on it. Central American operator on 7046 lower sideband mixing with CW. Wow, 7046. Am I receiving something? Lower sideband. Let's check out 40 meters a little bit.
That's right. That's where they all go.
Seven 7315. What is that? 7315. Is that Romania? Sounds like Romania. Yeah, Radio Romanian English. 7315. I'm not bad. Just by the music, I was like, that sounds like Romanian music. Reminds me of when I received a 4-track cassette from Radio Bulgaria with some Bulgarian music, like 15 years ago. That was very unique. And I gotta find that tape. I still have the tape here somewhere. Radio Bulgaria's, and it was like a copy tape. It was like he just took a recording and they made a copy of it and sent me the copy. Yep, Radio Romania. Look at that. 7315.
The composer from Cluj, Tudor Zavda, was impressed with the beauty of the traditions preserved in the village and established a choir, in which Mariwa sang alongside her mother and sisters. Here is next a magic song performed by Mariwa.
The copyright stuff from YouTube makes me laugh sometimes. I got a copyright claim this week on my Shortwave channel from a pirate radio recording that's like 3 years old. It's as if something triggered, I don't know. It's like, yes, it was copyrighted music. I believe it was a song by The Doors. But it was so noisy because the pirate station was weak that when I posted it, it didn't discover it immediately. And 3 years later, it actually flagged it as a copyrighted music. I was wondering if it's the algorithm at YouTube that's getting better, even though it's noisy, or if it's just... And the other thing that was always interesting also in there was, I mean, I understand that they catch the copyrighted content when you post it. But once it's posted and it went through, how come you're going back and are you like constantly checking every video to make sure that there's no copyrighted content all the time? I don't know. It's weird. Just weird. 7315 wasn't 7315 used to be World? Yeah, it was WHRI, Yvonne, absolutely. They are still on that frequency in the evening, and they rebroadcast also Voice of Vietnam for North America. Well, for Americas, they're not broadcasting for North America. On 7315, it's the evening frequency for WHRI, absolutely, Yvonne. Have you tried 11680 for Pyongyang? Nope, but I am pretty sure it won't work. But let's try it, because you never know. Something extremely weak in the background noise, but nope. Nothing on 11680, Richard. Manreader DXer says, listening to Radio Romania International makes me grateful they are still on shortwave since in the past I took it for granted when any shortwave broadcaster was on the air. You know what? One of the things that I did not realize back then, and that I do realize today, when I started listening in the 80s, one thing that I didn't understand or didn't think about was that international broadcast medium of shortwave would change tremendously over the next decades. And what I regret the most, I would say, if I have to regret something about, you know, the fact that I lived through uh, one of the amazing periods of shortwave radio, was that I did not understand how I was living through some of the most amazing times for a shortwave listener. I was not understanding that what I am living through right now is not always going to be like that. And that somehow my understanding of shortwave of the 80s, but of course, you know, I also didn't see, in 1985, I didn't see, I mean, technology was happening. I had a computer, you know, in 85 I was on my Commodore computer. I was calling in bulletin board systems everywhere, BBSs through phone. So yeah, there was some advancements in how we work with computers and how technology goes around, but I could not foresee this. I mean, in 1985, I don't think anybody was thinking of, yeah, this guy from Montreal is going to talk about shortwave radio on a live show streamed with a small phone that fits in the pocket on the internet through a thing called YouTube and make money out of it. And if somebody would have said that, I would have said probably, you're joking, man. That ain't going to happen. And I think the fact that all the technology moved fast, and the fact that I didn't realize. I today wish, you know, if I had one thing that I'd like to, that I could, if somebody would tell me, there's a lot of things I would like to do, but I mean, if somebody would tell me, what about if I give you the opportunity to, okay, you'll live in your little bubble so you don't interact with anything else, but once a month, you can go back in time to a specific period and listen to shortwave for a full day. I would be tremendously happy. I was like, yes, I am taking that opportunity to go back in time, and I would choose different time frames, you know, go back in the 60s or the 50s, go back, you know, I would go and listen to signals on shortwave from the Second World War. I would go back in 1943, 44, see what was on. That was, you know, there must have been so many unusual signals. And imagine, we find today that there's like these number stations here and there. Imagine the Second World War, what it must have been like. It must have been crazy times. They were still in the beginning of radio stuff, but still. I just find that it's sad that I took for granted that period of time where I am fortunate enough. You know, I see some of you guys always telling me, you know, man, I wish I would have lived to hear what was on the bands in your time period. Now, I would reply back, well, you're younger than me. Better stay there. You'll see the world a little longer than I am, because I already have more than half of my life done. But I gotta say, anybody that lived through the magic of what the shortwave bands sounded like in 1983, 84, 85, wow. All I can say is wow. Anybody that's listening right now that would go and tune the bands and say 1980 would just, their jaw would drop. They were like, what the hell? Because there's signals everywhere. I mean, literally everywhere. It was, you know, today it's difficult to find a signal within all the spectrum. Back then, it was difficult to find a place where there's no signal, where all the spectrum is. It was as crazy as that. Tuning into a shortwave station was difficult, not because of, you know, necessarily propagation, although it did play a role. But the most difficult thing of the time was stations were jam-packed together. your receiver needed to be really good because all the signals were really close packed one to each other. So that meant that that signal was interfered with that other signal up and the other signal down. And you know, you'd be mad sometimes. It's like, well, I want to listen to Swiss Radio International, but it's difficult. I can't hear it because there's Radio Canada just 5 kilohertz up, and there's you know, Radio Havana Cuba 5 kilohertz down, and it's smack stuck in the middle, and I can't listen to it because there's too much. You know, that was the time. You know. So you know, I feel for you. I can tell you one thing. I totally feel what you mean with that. KYOI. Oh man. KYOI. I remember the first time I heard a rock station on the air was when I tuned in the bands and heard WRNO Rock of the World. WRNO was an amazing station back then. I got the QSLs out here. I don't know if I can quickly find a WRNO QSL. Let's put this here. Give you a bad idea. Put it like this. Can I find quickly a WRNO QSL here? I mean, WRNO was the rock of the world back then. That was, oh, I got some here. Here we go. That was quick. WRNO QSLs here. 2 of them. One from 1983 on 11890 and one from well, no year here, but it's March, but probably in the 80s also. Look at that, 2 QSLs from WRNO here. And that was my first QSL from WRNO, and they were called the Rock of the World back then. WRNO Worldwide. Look at that, all the details. I don't know if you guys can read it, but this is all the details from the card for back then. Pretty crazy, man. Pretty crazy. This is really, really cool stuff, I can tell you that. So, WRNO back then was not a religious station. It was WRNO Rock of the World. And they had music all the time. It was the first time I thought, wow, this is so cool. There's a rock station on shortwave. It was just so cool. I remember listening to that all the time. Andrew the Extra says, Joe, listen to an old shortwave recording of the 80s and you would hear the QRM from the other station. Oh, absolutely. When you go to YouTube, there's a lot of older recordings, and very often you hear the pterodynes, the high whistling noise from the stations that are on each side all the time. It's just crazy. So, you know, these days shortwave stations is a lot cleaner because so many countries have left. Yeah, I do miss it also. You know, I miss the way that things were. Hey, Piet Mondrian student, nice to have you here. I think this is why people are nostalgic for old radios. They want to return different, more secure times. Philip Jones says, bring back the Cold War. Yeah, I'm not sure we want to bring back the Cold War, but we want to bring back the Cold War way of things, but not the Cold War itself necessarily. Steve says, found an old logbook from the 80s full of utility logins. What an eye-opener. Oh, man. There are so many things. Yeah, of course. Everything was in the clear back then. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, Cosmic Lettuce, I sound like an old guy, and I am happy to be an old guy, okay? When I started, we had no electricity. We would actually do smoke signals to communicate between towns. Come on. Don't worry, Cosmic Lettuce. I can see you just by the way that you do your astronomy podcast. You're going to be in that new modern YouTube of, you know, like 2035. And you'll be talking about the old times when we could see stars in the sky. But because of all the things that happened, we can't see them anymore. And instead of seeing 5 stars in your sky, you could see thousands of stars in your sky. You'll be talking like me for shortwave. Oh, man. So, yeah, Steve says lots of U.S. Air Force stuff, clear comms. Absolutely. There's not a lot of encryption back then. It was like everything was like in the clear, which is surprising considering that, I mean, we were in a really, the 80s was one of the periods where the Cold War was kind of pretty heavy. I mean, if you guys want to see a little bit of history, for those that are maybe younger, and even those that want to kind of go back through some times, just YouTube Cold War. There's a BBC documentary about the Cold War from the beginning to the end, which is very, very well done. And shows you that, the Cold War was not Cold War all the time even. There were ups and downs. There were times when Cold War was kind of relaxed. Things were kind of better. And there were times where the Cold War was kind of heavy. Like the missile crisis period was kind of heavy. Well, the 80s, Cold War was kind of heavy. In the 80s, I can tell you, I was not a paranoid guy thinking that bombs would fall, but I can tell you, in the 80s, an 80s kid like me would sometimes look at how things were going with Russia and the US and would think, man, what the is happening, And there was this, I remember a friend of mine in high school clearly telling me, do you think they're ever going to, fire those missiles or something? And like, well, man, I remember telling him something like, well, if you got to die, you got to die. But I think I told him something like, it would be foolish for two nations, two countries, to actually decide the fate of a whole planet. That would be very selfish and idiot to take that control. I remember I told him something like that. I didn't tell him like that, but I told him something similar. It was like, yeah, if two countries decide the fate of everybody in the world, that ain't right, But of course, we had no say in it. Nobody could do anything about it. And so an 80s kid, we were in the prime of the, until the wall, the Berlin Wall fell down and the Soviet era fell apart in 89, 90. The 80s were kind of heavy in the Cold War thing. I can tell you that. Imagine. Yeah, I know, Cosmic Lettuce. I am joking. Oh, God. Steve says, back in my day, my squirrels ran my radios. I like that. Mad Radio DXer. When I was a kid, I had to do my homework with a candle as my only light. that must have been fun, actually. MEC says, when I was a kid, I had to walk through the snow to school, and it was uphill both ways. I like that. Manuel DX says, actually what I said was true in a way. There were regular power outages in winter. Yeah, okay. Dave Todd, 68-year-old. I'm 49. Oh yeah, I remember that one. Mickey. Sheldon would say, after being around so long, you remember when the Dead Sea was sick. Oh man, it was crazy. Oh yeah, and that's the funny thing. As Yvonne saying, 11176, and somebody would say, "Oh no, that's a typo." No, it's not, because the U.S. Air Force rebranded some of the frequencies. So 11175 today was 11176, and if I'm not wrong, 15016 was 15015 back then. They kind of switch a kilohertz. I don't know why. Lots of insecure phone calls. I remember some people reporting that they actually heard Air Force One presidential call going through one of these frequencies. That's crazy. Piet Mundrian student says, I'm using a random line on a PL600. Would a ground rod significantly improve reception? Not necessarily PL6 on that radio. You know, the PL600 does not have a ground connector. So I don't think that you'd have necessarily any improvements on that, honestly. These radios are made to be kind of self-sustained on the reception capability. Vancouver Island DX says, I remember the first time I heard a U.S. Air Force Sky King transmission. That was a big thrill for a teenager. Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I totally believe you. I remember the fun I was having. Today we don't hear that much. There's still a few, but there's very little because they moved to like satellite phones. But I remember when the maritime bands were full of ship-to-shore phone calls that you could hear over HF. And of course, one of the hard things is that is shortwave. So that means getting anything either in French or English was a challenge because there was like these tons of phone patches in all sorts of languages. But you would go through and you would hear, and I remember one, I don't know, we're probably in the late 80s, and I remember one phone patch, and it was from a UK guy to his mistress, and he was actually telling her how he misses her and how he's having a crappy time with his wife on a luxury tour boat, but that he just couldn't wait to get back to the UK because he missed the sex they were having. And I remember it was like that clear. It was like, oh, okay, you're having a cruise with your wife, but when you'll be back in the UK, you're gonna screw your wife with another lady. You know, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. But you know, that's the life. That's the everyday life of a lot of people. You know, you hear the everyday things. It's like when I had, you know, when the cell phones were analog. It's kind of simple. When the cell phones were analog, one of the things I loved to do is listen in on Friday and Saturday around midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Because you'd hear all of these guys calling the sex lines, and it was like, okay, this is going to be fun. Hello, I'm Brian. I'm 34, and I live, and you know, I'm searching for a lady tonight that would be interested. I'm looking for blonde hair, and I don't have any fat chicks, and well, you know, I got a big dick. So if you're interested, come back. And you're like, what? Yeah, okay, that's kind of, okay. And then you get the call back like, hi Brian. Well, I'm kind of interested. How long will, you know, what do you look like? Are you overweight? You know, the ones that don't want fat chicks are all the ones that are fat themselves. Oh, it was, you know, crazy times. Things you could hear back then that you can't hear anymore today. You know, that was the real entertainment. Much more interesting than TV. It was like, okay, turn on your scanner radio and shortwave radios, and you're set up for the evening. It was like crazy. Philip Jones says, I was in the Royal Air Force 84 to 88, and it felt uneasy every day. Oh, it was crazy. It was totally crazy. I can tell you that. Crazy when you think about it. Ivan says he lived in Bulgaria when the communist. Whoops. Let's try lost this. Let's go down. Okay. And when communism fell, it was an experience I will remember. Absolutely. Anybody that was in these Eastern Bloc countries that were, linked to the USSR, it must have been some, you know, for us here outside, here in North America, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, North America, Canada and US, like Russia was the bad guy, and communism, people were going crazy about communism and everything. And when the Berlin Wall fell, when everything crumbled down, for us exterior, for us far away, it was an amazing time. So imagine for you guys that lived it within these countries. You can never, never forget that, ever, for your life, that's for sure. Because even I do not forget that moment when all of that happened to some extent. I did a video this week on Monday on my tech channel. And because I work at Microsoft on the Mondays, I started doing live, like tech videos, talking about something, but like showing different things around Montreal at the same time, downtown. And I did one where I was at one of the buildings here in downtown Montreal, where we have actually we have a piece of the Berlin Wall here in Montreal. And I ended the video showing the Berlin Wall, the part that we have, and I put my hand on it, and I said, I like to put my hand on it and think about all the terrible things, and never, and like just never forget that this is a symbol of how idiot and how crazy the human race can be. And we never have to forget that. Never forget that. Just nuts. VK2FBAJ from Sydney, Australia. I remember the first time I heard Radio Tirana as a 10-year-old in Radio Pyongyang. Yeah, that back then it was Radio Pyongyang. It was not Voice of Korea back then. It was Radio Pyongyang. I remember the first time I heard Radio Moscow. I remember the first time I wrote to Radio Moscow and being sure that nobody will ever answer back, and being surprised to get this big envelope through the mail with tons of things in it. QSL cards, stickers. I had a magazine. I had tons of things. And I remembered, like, wow, they replied. And I can tell you, as a 13, 14-year-old boy that has this big envelope that says CCCP and Radio Moscow written in their alphabet, so it's like Mogba that's written. It's always remembers like Radio Mogba. What's that? And I remember with that envelope in my hand, I'm like, wow, this actually comes from Russia, from the USSR. Wow. It was just crazy. I was, 13, 14-year-old guy. I think there's not a lot more that could have amazed me more than I got an envelope that comes from the USSR in my hands. I don't know. I'm not sure anything else would have been like, more exciting. Aloha Jim, hey there, nice to have you on board. WNYW on my old break from hillbilly music in the mid-60s, living in Dublin, Georgia. I remember listening to what is today 1130 Bloomberg news station. They used to be a oldies station in the 80s. and they had this music from big bands from the 40s and 50s. And my mom would enjoy that. And I remember one of the nice souvenirs I got about that was on hot summer days, being on the balcony outside because it was too warm to stay indoors, and tuning in late at night, like maybe 11 p.m. local time, 11:30 on a little portable receiver I had, and listening with my mom to big band music. And you know, I didn't enjoy necessarily the music more than that, but it was like a, you know, little mom and son bond time. I had, you know, dad and son bond time with different things. So my dad, you know, stamp collecting was kind of that period of time with my dad and me. Honestly, my dad and me didn't have a lot of times together because we were kind of, you know, I like to say today I got the same temper as my dad, which means me and my dad don't get along, and that's pretty much always been the case, I'd say. But and you know, I had my times with my mom with the radio time. It was kind of a, you know, odd summer evenings. It's crazy. David in Barcelona says, be careful using outdoor antennas with the PL600. Years ago, back when I was starting a radio, I tried to hook up one to a random wire and got it fried by static. Whoa, okay. Richard Cook's got Turkey interval signal, 9830. Keegan says, East Cape activity in Northwest Arkansas on the FM band since around a quarter after 2100 UTC. So far, I've heard stations from Florida and heard of South Carolina. Wow, that's cool. Mario DXer says, yeah, I remember those ship to shore stations, 95% of them in languages I could never ID. Absolutely. That was the funny thing. It's like, I remember I had a lot of fun hearing them, but I was always like, man, is there something in English or French in here? I don't, you know. At least I had two languages, so it's like, I got, you know, at least two shots where I can hear something I understand. I remember the tropical bands, in the 80s. Wow, so many African stations, and it was great because you could see the transition. The tropical bands in the 80s, you would hear definitely late afternoon, all the African stations, late afternoon local time, all the Africans were coming in, and then would transition to the evening in North America. And then you would move on to the South American tropical stations. That was Central and South American. That was great. That was great. Really great. Robert Prosper, I used to live in DC during analog cell phone days with a Radio Shack Pro 2005. Yep, I was tuning in with my 2006 that I had modified, that diode that you clip and gives you access to the cell bands. Yeah, drug deals. Yeah, absolutely. Drug dealers, there's all sorts of things. Oh, man. Cosmic Lettuce. Oh, the Russians by Sting, I think, is the best example of the hysteria of the 80s. If there's one song that actually takes, if there's one song that takes the 80s to what they were in terms of how nuts and crazy the Cold War was, Russians by Sting explains it all in one song. The feel of the song plus what he says in the song exactly explains how crazy. So, Shelly Sykes, hey there. I know nothing about shortwave, so this might be a dumb question, but can you hear the space station on shortwave? So first of all, there's no dumb questions, and when you don't know about something, it's not being dumb asking a question. It's actually being really bright because yeah, if you don't know what we're talking about. So on shortwave, no, we won't hear the space station on shortwave because shortwave technically is kind of shortwave, in a general sense, is kind of in our bubble of Earth because of the way that it propagates. Not totally true. There are times when shortwaves would, go into space or be received from space also. Yes. But the International Space Station is more in the VHF, UHF, and higher range. If you have a good old scanner radio, for example, you would be able, they regularly do tests of all sorts. There are communications on the VHF range where you can actually easily, even with a little scanner and a rubber duck antenna, something like something like this, you would be able to listen, even with a cheap little rubber duck like this. Sometimes there's an amateur radio station that does things like send pictures. They send pictures from the International Space Station. I can give you a great example here. So if you're talking about what we can hear about the International Space Station, so here, look at this. Let's go back. Here we go. So there's one that's really clean, I believe. So here are a few. So here, look at this. What you see here, like this one, is an actual image received from the International Space Station. RS0ISS is the call sign of the amateur station there. This was received using, I received it using my big radio here, but honestly, with a little scanner like I have, you would be able to probably do it also. So this is an image of what's called slow scan TV. And this was received from the International Space Station a couple of months back. So, you can listen to that if you wish, but you will not listen to it through shortwave, for sure. And if you have any other questions, Shelley, don't hesitate. We're here for that. We're really here for that. Mad Radio the Answer says, all this nostalgia makes me thirsty for a tab. Hey, take care, Yvonne. Always nice to have you on board. Oh man, that was crazy. VK2 VHA. You're listening to Radio Moscow World Service, and they were broadcasting on 50 different frequencies at the same time. I can tell you that. Oh yeah, the stamps. Absolutely, lots of stamps, lots of cool stuff. Robert Prosper used to listen to Radio Moscow at that age too. It was a big deal. Absolutely, it was a big deal. I remember when I did, we could at school, when I was in high school, the last year was in high school, in French class, one of the things that we were asked for is to do a essay on something we love, and then we would actually present it in front of the class. And you guys probably are all like this. Speaking in front of the class is always the thing no one wants to do. And I'm thinking of how scaredy pants I was going in front of the class to talk back then, and I look at what I do today and speak to people all around the world with my live shows, and I'm thinking, wow, this is so different. I used to be scared as hell going in front of the class, but I don't, there's no problem being live, having people watch me from everywhere. But the funny thing is, I did an essay about shortwave, and I brought with me letters and envelopes from different stations around the world. And I can tell you one thing, everybody was like, wow, when they saw that Radio Moscow thing. Everybody was like, you got correspondence from Russia? Yep, Actually, we weren't saying Russia back then. We were saying USSR. You know, today we use Russia. Back then we were saying USSR. And I always remember. I remember my brother and me talking about it once. And I told my brother, do you think that somewhere in Ottawa, the Canadian government has some kind of note on me just because I'm writing to all these stations from communist countries? And my brother looked at me and said, I'm pretty sure you got something in Ottawa that's flagged with your name. I wouldn't be surprised. And we'll never know, but it is totally possible that there was something in Ottawa with my name on it saying, hey, this guy receives stuff from communist countries all the time. Yeah, Radio Om Shinrikyo. Absolutely. That was a rude one, absolutely. The guy, Om Shinrikyo, was the guy that put the sarin gas attack in the subway, the Japanese subway. And I don't know if I got it here, but if I can, I have the QSL card, official QSL card from them. Right here. I don't know if I can get it before I go crazy, but I got on Shinrikyo somewhere. I don't know where, but I got a QSL from on Shinrikyo. Hey, anybody remember this station from the US? WJCR? Look at that. WJCR worldwide. I don't even remember myself what that station was about. It was obviously religious, but I don't know. Oh man, I can't find it, but there's an Om Shinrikyo QSL somewhere in here. That's for sure. I got one of the QSLs from them. Actually, I have videos online of every QSL that I've got, but you know what, Jerry? Maybe I should like redo the videos. They're old. They must be at least 5 years old, these videos. I should probably redo the videos. You know, I wasn't popular back then. I was like, you know, I had like 10 views on each video. So maybe I should like remake the videos. You know, also remake the videos because today I'm much more fluent in when I do videos than like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, Blasty, nice to have you here. Yeah, Joe Adamov answered your question. Me too. It was crazy. Remember, we would receive a letter that would tell us dates and times where we could actually have our questions answered. It was crazy. Robert Prosper, waiting for a power station that purports to be from alien invaders. Oh, that'd be nice. And have alien programming. That'd be cool. Yeah, Philip Jones. That was WA3NAN that would rebroadcast every shuttle communications downlink. And I remember every time a shuttle would go up, I would actually tune into these frequencies and listen to the amateur radio, you know. Supposed to be 95 Fahrenheit on Sunday here, Sherry says. I'm sure we'll be warm in Montreal. Yeah, next week we're supposed to have like 80s, even like mid 80s Fahrenheit in Montreal. It's supposed to be quite warm. That's why maybe Perry Island will be there. Vienna, so no, I have a question. How can you confirm it with a QSL a contact if you can't talk with the others peoples? Well, if you're talking about like shortwave stations, what you would do is you would listen to the program and put down at least 15 or 20 minutes of notes of what you were listening to. And the frequency, time, and the date. When you send that report, on the other end, the station, today they probably don't anymore, but back then they would keep a log of everything that was actually happening on that day on the broadcast. So what they would do, they would take what you're saying, they would go to that date and look at the log and say, okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, okay. Okay, that's true. He was listening to us for true, for real. So they would then, after comparing, issue a QSL card saying, yep, you did listen to us on that day, that time. Thank you for your reception report. And sometimes that would be, I don't know if you guys have it ever happened to you guys, but I remember a few times sending good reports, but probably because they didn't watch the day correctly or something, they would send back like, well, we can't send you a QSL because the date was not there, or the frequency was not there, or the report is wrong. And they're like, and I remember being frustrated at, what? My report was good. What the hell are you talking about? Oh, man. Vancouver the Extra says, my first QSL card came in a box for Havana that also contained a biography of Simon Bolivar and a transcript of the trial of the mercenaries captured during the Bay of Pigs invasion. Whoa, okay. That's heavy. That's kind of heavy. Whoa. That was heavy. Oh, man. WNYW New York Shortwave, yeah. That was like Radio New York International and Shortwave or something like that, right? Robert Trout. This is a little off topic, but I'm new to DXing and I was wondering what you think the overall best desktop receiver is for shortwave. I'm thinking of the ICOM R75. Look, if you have the possibility to buy the R75, buy it. You'll have one of the top receivers that exists out there. Apart from that, you might go, depending on I don't know how much money you got to spend. But if you can't get an R75, I would go for, you might go to the Alinco DX R8, which is not bad. But you got to remember, you got to add the power supply that isn't included. You might buy a second-hand radio. Make sure that you can know that it really works and it's really good. Like an old ICOM ICR 71A or an old Kenwood or one of the old receivers. But the R75, ICOM R75 is really great. Yeah, very often when it's hot and humid and there's thunderstorms and all sorts of things, Jerry, you're right. Lots of E-skip, sporadic E-skip in these times. Richard Cook says, Voice of Korea still hearable, 13760. What else do we have? Robert Prosper says, same radio as yours, same diode. What else do we have? Yeah, Mir, absolutely, that's possible. I haven't got any pictures except from the last times that I've tried it. Yanni Astano says, I will be away, have to go out in the evening. Thank you, Vianney. Always nice to have you on board. Always nice. Always nice to have everybody here, by the way. Take care, MDK2. Always nice to have you on board. And good luck on your test. That's going to be nice. Good luck, man. Really cool. Jerry. But you think about it and you're like, man, remaster the old videos. Nah, I'd rather do them all over again. I think that's gonna be better. Yeah, I got a few in my vicinity that insist also that there's aliens invading and that we don't know anything about it. Hey, who are we to know? Maybe we are or not. Just crazy. Oh, man. So, hey guys, we'll show up my little donation cart once again for last time. I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. We've been, you know, I'm surprised. I didn't think that we would do so long, but we are 3 hours and 20 minutes now. So, nice to, yeah, Jerry. Got to get an R30. I have to get the money to have an R30. So, thanks everybody for being here. This is where you can send donations, paypal.me/shortwave, Yahoo email, Patreon if you want to become a patron. So we've been here 3 hours, 20 minutes. Like I said, guys, I've been really sick this week. Tomorrow I will take the day off, so there's not going to be a show tomorrow. I'll be taking it easy, getting my energy back. I want to thank everybody for being here. It was a great show actually today. I really enjoyed the fact that even though I didn't have much to talk about, we just went into all sorts of directions and down memory lane also at the same time. I want to thank everybody for being here. It's always a great time. You guys are great. Without you fans, you know what? I wouldn't be able to do these shows. It's just always so cool. And David Arden says, please keep your hands and legs inside the vehicle until the show comes to a complete stop. You know, it's like those movies today that you kind of sit and the movie ends and you start seeing the generic, and you're like, no, I gotta stay, you know. And somebody tells you, it's like, why are you waiting? No, today there's like all sorts of things that are added after. You gotta sit down and look at until the end. If you go early, you're gonna miss out on tons of things, you know. So take care, everybody. Love you all. It was nice to do this show, as usual. Hope you enjoyed. 3 hours, 23 minutes. Not a bad time. Always cool to see everybody here. And take care. We'll be back next Friday at 2000 hours UTC. Stay safe. And and the summertime. Hey, Paul Murphy. Nice to have you here. Richard. In the summertime, usually the buzzer doesn't come in here. It's really more of a like, you know, something like September, October, maybe November thing, and then it's like March, April, May at the latest, early May. But ain't usually the time. I never received it in the summertime. Never. So take care, everybody. Stay safe. Love you all. And now I gotta move my phone. Wow, my phone is like really hot. Barely can touch it. Whoa, I need to cool it down, I think. Take care, everyone. Love you all. And stay safe.